What is the attack bonus, aka how accurate you're...
He's in the chat! Yo, can we get some 07s for my DM, please? Hi. You ready to be part of a video?
I'm gonna rain hellfire upon you.
Hey. Hey, you. Yeah, you. You with the no pants on. I've got a secret for you. Oh, you want me to tell you? Well, you're gonna have to get a little bit closer than that. It's a super secret. Little bit closer. Little bit closer. Are you actually ready? Because this might rock your... I am a nerd. Yeah. Whoa. Mind-breaking. What fabric-shifting knowledge that you have been dumped with. Who would have thought? Me. Slime girl, VTuber, dingus extraordinaire. Enjoy nerdy things. If you're like me and have no understanding of what the color of grass actually is, join me and Twitch chat as we venture into the world of D&D with JOCAT. Now, I myself have been part of a few D&D campaigns, although I've only recently got into it. So I thought, what better way to understand D&D than to have somebody who also is neurodiverse and deranged and cringe to explain the fundamentals of D&D in a nutshell. So here we have a crap guide to D&D with JOCAT. Link to this playlist will be in the description, so go and like the original content, go and watch the original content, go and subscribe to JOCAT, and all that kind of good stuff. And if you're watching this on YouTube, do make sure to drop by our Twitch to join us live with this reactionary, sloppy content. So, let's get into this. I'm excited. If any of his Monster Hunter or Final Fantasy, sorry, if any of his Final Fantasy stuff is anything to go by, then this is gonna be good. So the first one is Barbarian. Warning! Wait, what did I say? Wait. Warning, this is meant as a joke and is not at all a proper guide to D&D. You will not learn anything useful here. Any jabs I throw at your favorite aspect or ways of playing D&D are merely for comedic purposes only. Everyone plays it differently. Yes! No, wait, what are you talking about? The internet says that there is only one way to play everything and that gatekeeping is a mandatory element of everything. What do you mean to say that they play it differently and not the way that I play it? How dare they insult my very existence by doing something that I don't personally do? Freaking rude, man! Anyway, watch.
It's too cold outside. What shadowy hints of my easy-to-miss social life is dying, and I also want to argue...
Yes, JOCAT! You get what I'm talking about!
...about how pop culture characters fit into alignment charts, so it's time to make like a bunch of
oh my god, there he is. There's my Matt Mercer.
Odds are plenty of you dorkbags have heard of the hobby, but have as little understanding about how it works as anyone over 60 has about being content with living as a single childless adult who doesn't care about where they live so long as it's a roof over their head and the neighbors don't shout out racial slurs, unless it's at half-elves the filth.
Listen. D&D is like gaming in general. It is a fantasy. It is an escape. It is a roleplay. It's just a bit more versatile and encompasses many different ways of enjoying that content. Listen, if I want to roleplay a hot futanari hentai anime elf with a dick bigger than my personality, then, you know, D&D is great for that. That or Baldur's Gate, one of the two.
Filthy knife-eared mongrel mutts. So pronounce some
and yes, people do use this as an excuse of how to get away with a bit of racism.
All those friends you can only tolerate and put on your favorite wizarding hat. It's time to do some motherfucking role-playing. Welcome to a crap guide to D&D.
Role-play! You know, I love a bit of ERP. Yep, I love me some ERP. ERP. Everybody role plays girls. Hey, Big Kuma, thank you for the follow.
Things? What am I saying? Of course you do. Everybody does. I most certainly do, all the time, like now.
Yeah, that's my streamer.
Is the best thing about D&D. You can hit literally anything you want. Better yet, you can hit it with...
I'll be real. Again, I only started D&D recently, and I was so apprehensive about starting it. I legitimately thought for the first campaign that I was going to be in that I'd make a fool of myself, and that it would be far too complicated to get into. And yet, it wasn't. Oddly enough, it was incredibly simple, and it all comes down, like, the thing that makes the D&D campaign what it is whether you have a team who are cohesive and get along with each other, and a DM that is not a sadistic prick. Because if your DM is a prick, then you're all gonna have a bad time. Or if you have that one person on your team that has a power fantasy and main character syndrome, then it ruins it for everyone else. Now, I'm not going to sit here and talk about the semantics of what ruins a D&D campaign, but we all know that one person. And that is where I will leave that little gripe.
a big fuck-off axe while flying into a bloodthirsty rage so potent you could be forgiven for mistaking it for some kind of super rabies. The barbarian is the best class for hitting everything and everyone hard enough they explode into a huge puff of confetti or a shower of blood and organs. What's the difference? They're pretty much the same thing.
I've not made a berserker so far. In fact, this little goblin down here, this was my second D&D character I ever made, and now she is a core member of my canon universe and a member of the Kari Mansion. She is also my AI VTube model, which now has its own AI device and text-to-speech. Ha ha ha!
One of the only times you'll ever use a D12, but it does mean you'll be soaking up hits better than my pillow soaks up tears after I take a look in the mirror.
That's D&D's ass right there.
For a few seconds. You start with just about every important combat proficiency and any weapon of your choice. And if you're taking recommendations, I highly suggest going for the dual-wield chainsaw shotgun laser earrings with detachable missile launchers and drink dispensers.
Yeah, that's pretty normal.
They have built-in cup holders. Look at that. No tool proficiencies, but who cares? Nobody uses tools anyway. You pick them to add to your character for backstory purposes and then forget they exist because you only ever...
Listen, if I'm not allowed to play an Arcanist with rotary blades installed into their spine and heat-seeking bazooka missiles as an underattachment that subclasses into a bard with the ability to speak to goldfish on Tuesdays whilst wearing a necktie, then I'm sorry, your campaign isn't for me.
To roll for skill checks anyway, you lazy, thoughtless gobblebright. Yes, I just made that up, and it's what you are, you stinky feigl bitch. In fact, who even needs armor? Your pure, unadulterated chutzpah will block enemy blows better than even the shiniest of chainmail enemies. Better yet, you have spider sense, which assists in you avoiding traps, spells, obligatory social events, and laundry. And of course...
I'm only going to pause chat this heavily in the first one, because it's me expositing about my love for D&D. But when you play things like Final Fantasy XIV, World of Warcraft, any roleplay game, you are basically playing D&D, but in a video game. The entire purpose is roleplay, and, well, that's the RP and RPG. Role-playing game. You are role-playing. You are playing the character. You are immersing yourself in a world. D&D, again, is just a different medium of how to do that. As a perpetual DM for the last decade, I hope you had a good first time. I love it when people are introduced to the hobby. Yeah, honestly, I have some amazing clips from my first campaign. Thankfully, I've only had one campaign up until now where somebody was a bit of a dick. Somebody really had main character syndrome and made it all about them, which made the rest of us kind of ostracized. But I have absolutely loved the experience. In fact, as a little bit of a treat, these are some doodles that I drew from my session last night. So my D&D character currently is this character, Greer. She's a emotionless plague doctor who has been fused. She's actually part of the Kari Mansion. And when she was fused with the Kari essence, it caused her mind to break somewhat. So her personality, emotions are all trapped within her mind. And what you see on the outside is this very numb shell. And the Kari essence has presented itself in the form of this Plague Doctor mask. And when the Kari essence fused with her, it caused the Plague Doctor outfit to fuse to her skin, exemplifying her abilities of alchemy and medicine, but in so doing, changing her to also be a bit bird-like. Now, she is emotionless. She is completely devoid of apathy and social skills. And last night, the only thing she could ever possibly show emotion for is the potential of learning. And I drew this to epitomize what happened. Greer was in her lane, she was hydrated, she was learning, she was content. As for everyone else in the party, not so much. The epitome of how yesterday's D&D went.
Signature trait of the Barbar is being able to enter a ferocious frenzy of force that foes will fear for all their fans.
To beat the shit out of everyone with your fists and do your best impression of Guts from Berserk.
You are better at hitting everything else. And not just that, your muscles grow to the size of Crag-faced Garmouthis.
Yeah!
I don't care that the things I'm using for analogies aren't real. Intelligence is a dump stat anyway. That's why
who needs intelligence? Wisdom is what you need.
Now you know how to play Barbarian. You're welcome.
You don't need intelligence if you're good at getting other people to do the job for you. Wisdom, far more important.
Frail spellcasters,
the Bard!
Close quarters combatants, whack. Immobile tanks, whack. Me, I'm tight as fuck. First time playing D&D,
swag!
I realized I'm too cool for any sort of specialized role. But that was only because I hadn't figured
The people who play Bard are the people with far too much confidence.
out that there's only one way to play it right. With a sword in one hand and a harp in the other, shouting my greatness from the rooftops.
You will know. Bards are the ones most likely to have a friggin' god complex.
Welcome to a crap guide to D&D.
Every bard I've known in a D&D run so far have all been narcissists or god complexes.
Someone who only has one gimmick and has to hide for the rest of the fight because they've run out of class features and spell slots. If the sword and shield were an RPG class, it would be the.
Hey, look, it's my first character in D&D. In fact, let me show you. Let me give you a little thing as a treat. Let me give you all a little bit of a thingy-mabob. Let me show you my very first ever D&D character. Her name was LaRonda. She was a tiefling wizard who was part of a family of wizards who were all very powerful, but she couldn't cast spells. So her entire gimmick was that she had to use her family crest as a way of using some kind of magic on her adventure. Her entire point was that she was on her way to try and find out why she couldn't use magic. And although this allowed her to use some rudimentary magic, everything that she used ended up being wild magic. So she would cast a spell, and she would roll a 1d20, and if it landed on a critical fail, it would cause wild magic to happen. And every time she cast a spell, the chance for failure was increased by 1. So after one spell, it was a 1d20 landing on 1, it would fail. Second spell, 1d20 landing on 2 or 1, it would fail. So forth, so on. The first spell she cast summoned explosive mana crystals, which would either explode in a 50-yard radius and deal 2d6 damage to everything that's caught in them, or entirely revive your spell slots and health. Do you want to know what happened? My first spell I ever cast nearly TKO'd my entire team. Yeah, so this is why, anyway.
One that's good at doing everything and doing everyone. You can cast spells, learn tons of skills, support allies, harm enemies, harm allies, support enemies, woo crowds, boo crowds, and most importantly, lay dragons. It's the most versatile class, and its various archetypes
we told you to slay the dragon.
Role, so who even needs anything else? Need DPS? College of Swords. Need a tank? College of Valor. Want to make
Bardic Inspiration?
College of Whispers. Need to get good at the game? College of Sit Down, Shut Up, and Listen. Your most important feature, Bardic Inspiration, is like the little girl Wolverine version of the Big Daddy Logan, and is absolutely game-breaking. By being a radiant concentration of pure awesomeness, you can allow anyone else an additional die to roll.
The bard that I have in my current campaign is like a homebrew bard that uses painting instead of songs. And depending on the color of paint, depends on the buff.
Told you about a hot piece of sliz that walked into a high-class tavern and that he needs you to hype him up to be able to talk his way in and maybe nab a few extras on the way out for you. You best bet your ass that homie's gonna be.
I love it!
In fact, screw your wingman. You can do it yourself. Jack of all trades and expertise means whatever you're bad at, you're suddenly good at. And whatever you're good at, you're suddenly unbelievably amazing at. Nothing can stop you, well, maybe except a pretty face. By playing D&D, you automatically sign an unwritten contract that forces you to write your character to fall under the purest stereotype of whatever class you pick. Everybody knows you have to follow that contract or else Matt Mercer will sneak into your house and throw foam noodles at you from the corner of your living room.
Why is Matt Mercer considered the king of D&D? I know he's part of Critical Role and everything, but geez. Can Matt Mercer stop appearing in every single one of my timelines, please?
All wizards are smart-ass eggheads, all rogues are kleptomaniacs, and all bards are lust-compelled sex deviants. It's just the rules, I don't make them. And of course, the main gimmick of the bard is that it's artistically expressive in some way. People usually think this means musician. That's because their brain are like this, while my brain are like this.
Yep.
You can sing, dance, paint, prance, make a pretty dirt drawing with a lance. Plenty of ways to further enhance the battlefield.
That's my jam. That's my jam.
Bard, you're welcome.
Love it. What's next? What's next? More! More!
Now this may sound rather odd, but sometimes the best in the squad is the one with the cross who can smite
Cleric.
like a boss by harnessing the bitch slap of God. With a mace that even ogres will flee, you'll
damn, yo, friggin' JOCAT's got some rhymes, but if he can't do it, no one's gonna do some crime. Yeah!
And crush things with glee. Some think they're not strong, and those people are wrong. Welcome to a crap guide to D&D.
Clerics! Everyone loves a good cleric. Can't have a party without one. But you will be the team's healer,
everyone
bitch.
wants on their team, but nobody wants to be. Lucky for you, the cleric is like a support that decided to buy a taser after being too fed up with being told to heal the barbarian who ran into a 1v20 encounter. Clerics
It's
are the religious
always the
fandoms in the
healer's
D&D
fault.
world that are so crazy into their deities that they've turned their fangirling power into something that can actually pack a punch. Having the same armor proficiencies as a fighter and the self-sustaining capabilities
I've never actually had a cleric in one of my teams.
Juicing with unicorn hooves and dragonborn acid. They have so many teeth-grindingly infuriating spells at their disposal. On top of all that, dungeon masters all over the world universally agree to ban clerics from the game so as to not make encounters absolute nightmares to give proper challenge with.
So, like dragoons in Final Fantasy XIV? Or warlocks in World of Warcraft?
Without throwing approximately 20 black dragons at one cleric alone to keep it balanced. Spells like Flash Gordon, Buddy Cop Weapon, and Does My Hand Smell Bad to You are so stupidly strong at such a low level it's easy to forget why so many uncultured swine consider the cleric a designated healer.
The class where you need an Excel sheet. Wait, what did that say? What the feg did that say? What did you put on that screen, Joe? What did you put on there? There's one frame. One frame. You're making me look. I found this message. Good eye. And I want to say thank you for taking the time to replay the video enough times to find it. It means so much to me that people are so engaged by my videos that they're raw to find Easter eggs like this. Oh, that's so sweet. You're welcome, JOCAT. You're my little bean. You're my little baby.
Anyone who does has either never played the class or
that was
considered
surprisingly
the sword and shield a
wholesome.
viable weapon in Monster Hunter. Wait, unlike most other classes, you pick your archetype at first level, and you have oodles, canoodles, and toaster strudels to choose from. To summarize, you have Heel Bitch, Nerd, Sunburn, and My Axe, Nobody Dies, Nobody Cares, and a couple of more that I'm too lazy to mention. Seriously, with how versatile and independently strong you can build a cleric, you can make up an entire party full of purely priests, call it the Amen, and bust down Tiamat's door demanding her lunch money. And she would just build her own toilet to give herself swirlies so she wouldn't have to endure the kind of bullying you're about to give her. Channel Divinity gives you special limited use effects depending on your domain, and can be as dumb as Turn Undead, where the power of the gods can make a zombie run away from you like it's regained its ability to smell and realizes you've been sleeping with your Jesus blanket that you haven't washed in months. Or as useful as Guiding Strike, where you can choose to add 10 billion points to your attack roll so you'll be able to swat one fly with another fly's deuce being whipped around on a string like a yo-yo strung around your pinky toe while blindfolded.
You certainly have a way with words, JOCAT. You certainly do. Never before have I understood the sheer overpoweredness of clerics until now, but your high form eloquence is definitely informing me.
The only downside is that you get a pitiful amount of uses, like a gym 2 weeks after New Year's. And finally, the most notable trait of the cleric is divine intervention, where if you are a good boy or girl all year, praying happy thoughts and burning that dank holy kush, if you wish upon a star, the clouds in the heavens will part and the literal gods will stop playing their game of Jenga.
I love how simple the animations to these are as well. Like, there's almost no animation. It's all just a bunch of, like, still frames that have had some very minor, like, extra frames added on. It's so good. I want to make content like this.
Whatever dumb problems you and your party have gotten into. And
Point is, I love this style.
Debating whether or not to write you a holy restraining order after seeing you pissed your pants fangirling over your religious senpai noticing you. And now you know how to play cleric. Amen.
I pissed. Oh, that's really cute. They keep adding little noggles to the table every time they do one. That's really cute. I like that. Okay, Druid. Druid.
I don't understand tree huggers. What has the environment ever done for us? It's not like it provides oxygen, resources for tools, housing, clothes, food, and technology or anything
important like that. Well, it did insult my mum one time, so I threw a can on the floor to say, fuck you, nature.
To continue to feed mankind's insatiable appetite to destroy, consume, and rebuild in his own image, ultimately resulting in the annihilation of the very world that brought him into existence. Nah, fuck all that.
Whoa, calm down, JOCAT. That's pretty edgy, my dude.
That are minding their own business so we can wear them as high fashion. I mean, just look at bears. All they do is steal my chips and shit in my backyard.
Joe.
Well, guess what, Yogi? It's payback time. And what better way to give it than undercover as one of their own.
Stupid
They'll
sexy
never see it
body
coming.
keeps
Welcome
making me feel things.
D&D. The druid is what happens when a ranger decides to fully commit to being a furry/hippie instead of just half-assed.
No. The druid is what happens when somebody's been accused of being a furry too much, and they realize the only way that they can actually be a furry without people chastising them for it is to play a druid in D&D.
Passing it because they're only trying to impress that.
Also, the only way they can get laid with a bear and not make it questionable.
dryad they met in the forest that one time. They're primarily a casting class, but unlike clerics with their holy senpai, warlocks with their sugar daddies, bards with their awesomeness, or sorcerers with their rich magical parents' inheritance, druids' magic comes from Mother Nature. And from first-hand experience, I can tell you now she's an absolute bitch. Shut up, bitch. At second level, you can fulfill every furry's dream and transform into an animal, but not just any old lameo neon-colored oversaturated mess like
Hey now. Don't be so mean to the furries. It's not their fault they're intellectually bankrupt.
Dark Snout, the rainbow dog with an indie band t-shirt over there. No, I mean cool animals like my original character, Grabblejean, the nocturnal giant
or like
toad.
Dog
Don't
from Undertale.
Your archetype will be based around whether you want to be part of the forces of nature or if you want it to work for you. To list them off, land for different flavors of spells, moon for when you want to take your persona to the next level, dreams for if you secretly want to play cleric, shepherd for if you want to be king of the woodworks, spores for if you want to reenact The Last of Us, and twilight
furries
for that
are a good example.
Just like all the classes, your features improve with your
running
level. Where
joke.
differs that their animal
and they are so
features
self-aware
mean
of
that the
it.
beasts you summon or wear fursuits of don't necessarily get stronger, but rather
even
they're thrown
furries
into
like
the
to make
garbage
fun of
and replaced by
furries.
things with increasingly more fleas.
But it's all for
Moreover,
good
they
fun,
gain additional
usually.
features a regular animal couldn't imagine if it was high on devil weed, which gets fucking terrifying at later levels. Imagine this
I'm
scenario.
sure it would.
You're walking
Jesus.
in the woods, there's no one around, and your phone is...
When I was playing the campaign with my goblin, who's an arcanist, engineer kind of thing, she did inadvertently strap a Gatling gun to a cat at one point. That cat did then run away and waste all the resources I put into building it, but for a moment I did have a cat-powered mobile Gatling gun. It was a large cat, though, just saying.
Dead. Suddenly, spiky thorns sprout out around you, making movement painful. An adorable bunny rabbit sitting in front of you, seemingly harmless, suddenly starts shooting giant bees out of its eyeballs and turning the tree branches around you into black mambas. Design an encounter for that, Dungeon Master. And now you know how to play Druid. You're welcome.
Yay! I suppose that's like one of the big things about D&D, right? Is that even like as much as you have to be good at roleplay and improv, the DM needs to be even more gooder at improv and roleplay to be able to like compensate for your stupid decisions. Like no one, a good DM has to have redundancies on redundancies. Like even though he's sat there going, yes, you should go for this. This is your objective. Go this way, guys. That D&D campaign I just mentioned with my goblin, it was designed as a short form campaign. It was meant to be 10 sessions at most. By the time we were done, it was 92 sessions. Or thereabouts. It lasted for over a year. Because every time we were this close to starting to do the main plot line again, we were like, ooh, shiny, or ooh, shiny, or ooh, shiny. And the DM had to put up with that bullshit. And they did. They made it work. A good DM is one who knows how to adapt to the terrible decisions that your group are going to make.
Fighter-Man. Overall, he is fairly bland. Hit some stuff, hit some more. Outside combat is quite a bore. Look out, he is a fighter-man.
Yo, actual animation? Sick. Dude, I love these little noggles.
It's a goddamn mystery. Who knows? I'll say it because nobody else will. I think the fighter is a respectable individual pacifist. You're basic like that, and that's not just me saying that. It's science. Human fighters pop out of the woodwork like rabbits on Viagra because people are incapable of choosing something unique even when they're given options.
To be fair, when somebody is new to a roleplay game, that's not even D&D. The reason why they go for the human fighter is because it's what's similar to them. They have to play the human fighter to begin with to be like, you know what? I think the next character I make is going to be something slightly more dynamic and different. Yeah, the first character is always something safe and simple. Like how my first character was basically just a version of myself, but with red skin.
Like playing as a kobold paladin who prays to asteroids just before they crush an unfortunate man's cabbage cart. Just look at me, for example,
or
artistic phenomenon and originator of the satirical
a walking knight.
What do you mean I'm not the first one to come up with the idea?
Armor
I don't need these lies coming out of you.
Suspiciously multiple voices coming from inside.
Everybody knows it. Come on, Master Chief, let's get the fuck out of here. Fighters are the purest essence of the combat side of D&D, all about hitting things hard and fast, getting into the thick of the fight, and hey, you get out of here, we're not talking about you. They're all focused around rolling more dice than a Limp Bizkit song, as well as being straight up easy baby mode because you get to start using
hilarious to be around.
Heavy armor, some ranged options, a free cheesecake, and a complimentary belly rub just for picking the class. Seriously, everything about it is geared towards being so noob-friendly, even a Monster Hunter longsword player will be laughing at you. If you feel so inclined during combat, you can heal yourself, attack twice, and take a second action to attack twice again, all in the same turn. And that's at 5th level. Not to mention you getting more ability score increases than any other class means that if you go a turn without hitting at least something, then you must have made some kind of D&D sin that angered Gary Gygax, like getting weighted dice or putting milk in before your cereal.
Do people actually get weighted dice? That sounds so scummy.
Like being a magic bitch that can actually take a hit, or ride a bitch when you cut down a fool.
I haven't been in D&D long enough or seen enough of the community. Do people legitimately do that? Are there people that superficial in a power fantasy roleplay game that they have to weight the dice in their favor? That sounds so boring. That's actually worse than people who have main character syndrome.
Go all out sensei mode and just decide you want advantage for every attack this turn, so you're going to absolutely destroy a bitch. But odds are, knowing most fighters out there, champion is the best bet because it's basic. Yo, we heard you like fighter, so we put more fighter in your fighter.
Nah, that wasn't a hedgehog, it was a cat.
Make your character a rough and grizzle-faced middle-aged straight white man with a two-handed sword and a mysterious and/or tragic and/or vengeful backstory just to fit the bill. Don't want to.
I also there is a very straight line on how people journey through being a D&D player. Everyone starts with basic, then they go adventurous, and this is like character design, right? Adventurous, and then at some point everybody makes an edgy fuckboy character. You know, like, my parents died when I was young. And then after that, you kind of split into many different caveats. You either go for the, oh my god, what the fuck is this category? You go for the over-designed style, or you just go for the I don't give a fuck, this is now memes. That's usually the process. That's usually, from what I've seen, how people's design philosophy changes.
Want to get too creative, now do we? And now you know how to play fighter, you're welcome.
Yay!
Bow, sword and shield, there's no limit what
Moving on to monk! Monk. Come on, JOCAT, do something. Do something, JOCAT. Do something. Oh, I see. This is all an allegory for how boring monks are.
Bitch, you were taking too long. Welcome to a crap guide to D&D.
Hey. Animation is hard, yo.
Like a science and can be used
this shit
for
takes
either side
time.
Of the moral spectrum. It can be used for evil, like punctuating arguments, expressing a salty loss, and beating up nerds, or it can be used for good, like self-defense, artistic expression, and beating up nerds.
Yeah,
beat up those nerds. In the nerd beating up science of mixed martial arts, foregoing any sort of traditional filthy weapon proficiencies, and instead opting for
Bruce Lee would like to have a word with your weaponry.
You start with no
the only weapon you need is
like
your
barbarian,
fists.
you have the ability to deflect and dodge attacks.
Is that a stupid, sexy Scaly? Is that it? Oh, those muscles. Damn, JOCAT, you didn't have to get me like that. Ugh.
Like a barbarian, you have the ability to deflect and dodge attacks with the power of your unconstrained birthday suit. But unlike barbarian, you don't have to rely on the pathetic material world to explodify goblins. You have your knuckles. Martial arts training means you can serve up extra punchables for the bad guys as a bonus action. So no matter how you're doing, as Mama said, you'll be dishing out more pain-induced fistings than two lesbians who consider watching porn as a reasonable substitute for sex ed. But it's not all coochie destruction. The
I am not going near that one with a barge pole.
Monk is a slippery piece of work who's really good at avoiding any oncoming fistings, like a millennial trying to get their life together avoids self-care by catching them if they're a fist projectile or dodging them if it's an aerial fist.
I'm a VTuber. I chose to forego self-care a long time ago.
And avoid any infections if the fister forgot to take a shower that night. As a monk, your shtick is the key feature, but since I can't come up with any way to make this section much funnier, and also because key translates to poop in Thai, that's how I'm going to refer.
Just... JOCAT, you missed a brilliant joke here. You could have just used your Final Fantasy XIV monk guide. Like, you could have placed that here and it would have been the same thing.
To it from now on. You gain more and more poop as you level up, and you can spend your poopy points on various skills to do all sorts of things, like stun people, reroll saves, mask yourself and turn invisible, and any other number of crazy things based on which anime you want to imitate. I would recommend Kensei, so you could use the
yes, I today feel like I'm going with the Naruto flavor of monkism.
Cooler in every way, wearing fancy outfits and taking the time to actually learn how to fist properly. Oh man, what a tough decision. Do I want to use a pokey stick, or do I want to fire Hadoukens and Kamehameha Blast? What an enticing decision. I'm really gonna have to think about. Don't stop! We're locked now! And now you know how to play monk. You're welcome.
Woo! Yeah, baby! That table's getting awfully full.
Boy,
Oh, wow, we have a lot of these to go through.
There's nothing more satisfying than knowing the good name of Sword and Shield has traveled so far and wide that not even the Pokemon games are free from
we're not going to pause champ anymore. We're just going to watch this all the way through and enjoy it. Unless something requires me to pause champ.
Inform ignorant whelps of great hobbies their miserable lives are missing out on? Fuck no, it was to enforce the mighty name of the one true weapon pairing that triumphs all others. And if anyone were to step out of line, I'd bring down the wrath of which tear-ass children tell their parents to
still using the Monster Hunter designs for this.
The pants they all shit because it makes for great fertilizer. Welcome to a crap guide to D&D.
Oh yeah! I really want to do some animations like this again at some point. Getting my animation boner going.
Do you want a class that'll instill fight, take up some plate, and keep the goblins in sight? Because you want to make sure they eat this paladin smite. The paladin is the first of hybrid style classes, stealing a mix of features from both the fighter and the cleric, meaning it's better at physically painting the walls with blood than a cleric, but more gooder at grammar and spelling than a fighter. But it's also one of the few classes where role-playing becomes somewhat important. What? Role-playing in my role-playing game? They really should put some kind of warning label somewhere. I'm not submitting to this shit. If I wanted to follow some sort of code, I'd become a pirate so that I could at least plunder some booty while I'm at it. Otherwise, fuck you, gods. If you want me to play your game of ethics, you can kiss my shiny
Twitch.tv/Makari. You can plunder my booty.
Right, fine, just follow the code and don't do anything stupid that'll cause you to lose your paladin privileges, like a spoiled rich kid who's upset that he doesn't get a 4th Maserati to crash.
I still don't understand the whole concept of oath breaking.
Fighting classes, you gain proficiency with every goddamn combat-oriented item in the universe. And yes, that does technically mean that you can optimally play a paladin without a shield and not have to worry about being a less effective contribution to your party. But if you do that, I'm telling you now that you're wrong and I hate you and you're a big smelly doo-doo head. As a resident big...
It's like in World of Warcraft. Yes, you could play a warrior as anything other than Fury, but if you do, people are going to hate you. Oh, what's that? You're playing a warrior as arms and only using one weapon? Pathetic. Oh, you aren't playing as tank and/or Fury? Oh, well, I guess you're not getting into any parties.
Fuck off, bringer of divine justice. Your job is to harness the power of holiness or whatever other wacky power, depending on what oath you pick, to have everything else die while they bounce off of your full frontal crusade like a turd in the wind. That's true. I
have to appreciate Joe's like posing as well. Even though these like really basic sketches, he really gets these the poses down nicely. It goes to show
a free vaccination.
It goes to show that even if the art is very simple, if the pose looks good, it counteracts the simplicity of the design.
Casting abilities, more auras than that one silly anime that nobody likes, which means you'll be so jacked that your mere presence will muscleify any nearby allies so that they look like a typical character from said silly anime that nobody likes. And lay on hands, a pool of health you can use to heal yourself, it is very overrated. Hit point to your ally because that's all they deserve for not
JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, more like JoJo's overrated fucking nipples.
Reason anyone picks Paladin, and that's to never cast any actual spells, but instead use your spell slots to imbue your weapon with various flavors of smite. Because what good is striking down the heretics and heathens of the realm if it's not in the elemental attacking equivalent of your god sports team colors. You can smite with fire, laser pointers, brain freezes, sick bassy drops, and cheese for everyone. Sorry, I meant force. Force is what it says. There's a Stargate, and now you know how to play. Wait a minute, what the hell is that noise?
What is that meme? I've never understood the Deus Vault meme. Please somebody in the comments explain it to me.
With a bow, it's way better.
I want to make a ranger.
Alright, fine, I'll talk about the class. Ranger is the other of the bisexual style of classes, where it likes fighter, but it also likes druid and flips between the two depending on which one looks cuter.
Isn't a ranger a subclass? No, wait, isn't ranger I actually asked my DM about this last night. I was like, I said, hey, DM person, I want my next character to be a ranger. And they were like, ranger isn't a class. It's a subclass. It's not. Oh, I might have thought a hunter, actually. It is? I thought it was a subclass. Okay,
Hell, it even steals a few things from Rogue because it's so indecisive. And despite the name Ranger, you're not actually restricted to use any sort of ranged weapon in order to be effective. As far as combat goes, you get the usual fighter but not really fighter set of features. Fighting style, all weapons, extra attack, spell casting, D10, hit die, hey Macarena. From Rogues, it steals the ability to channel your inner chameleon and blend into the environment. Except instead of hiding in the shadows and watching where you step, it's more like putting on makeup, so you need to take some time, have a good look in the mirror, maybe look up some tutorials while you're at it, then start over when you realize you were using the wrong shade of foundation. From Druid, it steals some of that being one with nature flavor it's got going on and a whole lot of spells, but not without a few exclusive spells of its own. Like having a target explode a bunch of thorns when hit with a ranged attack, plant arrows in the ground and turn them into proximity-based fireworks, except the gunpowder is magic and the lights are bits of enemy brains. And single-handedly the objectively best ranger spell, Swift Quiver. Not for the unlimited ammo, that's dumb. Nobody keeps track of their arrows anyway, but because it turns your ranged weapon into a rapid-fire machine gun. But Joseph, you said you don't need to use a ranged weapon to be effective as a ranger. Those all sound like ranged weapon exclusive spells. That may be true, however.
Shut up.
Anyway, when it comes to actual unique ranger features, you can use the power of racism to decide what kind of creatures you're going to perform extra potent hate crimes on, and preferred terrain, where you can pick your favorite environment, and after trotting around picking flowers or litter, depending on what it is, you can become a fantasy Bear Grylls, which is basically real-life Bear Grylls, except with a kobold crew filming you instead.
And drinking
and if
your
you
own
worry
piss.
that sounds too situational, and that if you picked a forest terrain and the entire campaign took place in the snowy mountains would mean the feature would be more useless than a football player who got tapped on the shoulder and started clutching their knees crying in the fetal position, don't worry, you're right, and it is. What isn't situational is just about everything else involving the environment. You can sense what kids are trespassing on your...
Wait, was this? Was that Joe? Mic changing quality because I can never set up my recording environment the same way. That's a fucking mood, Joe! I start my stream one day and I'll sound like Chris Pratt doing this best impression of Mario. The next day I'll sound like I've swallowed my microphone and it's currently projecting from the deepest parts of my sphincter. Also, nice butt.
You can sense what kids are trespassing on your lawn and then not have to worry about the weeds that might otherwise slow you down from catching them and giving them a good weapon! When it comes to flavors of the no really trust us, you can totally use melee and still be a useful class. You have Pokemon Trainer with a gun, like rogues but even dodgier, literally a monster hunter, thinking with portals, and pew 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 pew! Alright, let's address the beholder in the room. The vanilla incarnation of the ranger has a reputation of being less useful when compared to the other classes due to questionable abilities and how they function. That's not to say the class can't be useful or powerful.
Look, it's not my fault my tamed crocodile wasn't as tamed as I thought it was and it swallowed the party's kobold cleric like a Slim Jim. Maybe the kobold shouldn't have been so friggin' tasty. Did you ever think about that?
In the right circumstances, but some consider the ranger's situational and sometimes underpowered features to leave something to be desired. However, there's nothing wrong about talking to your DM about changing how certain skills work, if that happens to be the case, so that you can have more fun in your role-playing table. It matters about the role play. But you know what? At the end of the day, it's not about how many numbers you can do to the bad guys, but whether or not you can shoot spikes out of the ground while firing bolts from your heavy crossbow atop a feathered velociraptor. And now you know how to play ranger. You're welcome.
Thanks, Joe. Can we all say thanks,
Joe? It's too cold outside. What shadow we hit?
Can we just say thank you, Joe, for being so informative?
Just play a fight.
Alright.
Ever since I was a child,
Rogue
I had
time.
to grow up on the streets, wrestling alley bears for food and fighting guards for my own
certainly
freedom.
learning.
It was in those streets that I knew I couldn't trust anyone but myself. The only thing for sure was that I had to find the monsters.
Also, can somebody buy Joe some pants,
to
please?
exact my revenge.
As much as I love his stupid, sexy ass,
my restless
I can't
for
imagine
blood
how cold he
at
must be having his
ease.
chaps on
So
show all
is
the
that why
time.
you're standing in the corner of a tavern conspicuously?
That's something deeply mysterious and intriguing for you to find out.
I can't tell you the amount of people who've started to roleplay with me when I used to be in Gaia Online that started with, my character was sitting in the corner, all shady-like.
But I doubt you'd understand all the pain and suffering I've had to endure to...
All right then, I'll see you later.
Wait, no, you were supposed to be deeply interested and ask me more about my backstory.
I wonder if you can buy these noggles. They look really
You know
cute.
what? I'm tired of being another cog in the machine of an adventuring party. I'm going off on my own, following my own creed and doing what needs to be done. That's right, I'm going rogue. Do you get it? Rogues are the sneaky, savvy, skilly-willy utility monkeys of the Forgotten Realms, and the best pick if you're a backseat gamer since it lets you interrupt someone trying their best because they weren't doing it right. However, if you want to Mary Sue it up even more than you already are, you also get expertise so that you can upgrade those proficiencies.
One little observation I've made with JOCAT's animations. One of the things that makes them, like, really enthralling is the fact that he's got this, like, parchment texture on the background. It makes it that little bit more interesting to look at than just being a white canvas. It's a subtle little thing, but it makes it all cohesive a little bit more. A little more interesting and textured, as it were.
Upgrade those proficiencies to animate protagonists.
Yo, Gwen, thank you for the
resub. I know what you're
resub.
thinking. This sounds a lot like Bard. And while that's partly true, the difference is rogues aren't automatically assumed to be the comic relief.
Instead, they're deep, dark, and brooding.
Rogues are
9 to
also
5,
the most
Monday
likely
through
to
Friday,
make a
holidays
pact with
excluded,
because who can be
Cthulhu.
grumpy on Christmas. The other main difference is their unique combat feature, the sneak attack. And because the names in D&D are always inaccurate, you don't actually have to be low to the ground and covered in...
The one time I had a rogue in my team, they were a spider drider kind of creature, and we were fighting a ghost of the Queen of England. This rogue... Actually, you know what? I'm going to show you.
I see your stream. I'm not even gonna comment on the cursed shit that I'm seeing here. Like,
I love it.
I like, on one hand, here I am trying my hardest to be dramatic and spooky and make this moment scary for the audience, and then I turn around and hold up. Let me just.
No, boop.
No.
This is my new D&D character.
character.
I'm gonna fucking kill you. Are you seeing this shit? What the
I'm
fuck
preparing
am I?
for the next campaign. What are you talking about?
I will rain hellfire upon you. I'm going to kill.
Oh dear.
And shit to deal the sneak attack bonus damage, but rather anytime the enemy's just not feeling up to it today and just
Yo,
wants to
my
get it
bad
over
hill,
with.
thank you
This
for
means
five.
if the enemy's being flanked, or if they're laying prone on the ground, or they just bragged about how high their IQ is, you know, things that would make them really
actually,
easy to
my
stab.
IQ is
You
so
are
high, you didn't
incidentally
even
not very
notice I
easy to stab,
stabbed
since
you
have a
already.
whopping 4 goddamn features dedicated to make you more difficult to pin down than figuring out if that teasing banter you had with your friend actually hurt their feelings or not. You can dodge when it's your turn, dodge when it's not your turn, dodge a giant ball of fire, and even dodge having to
that
pay the
hits me
bill on the
hard.
first date. When
So
especially you get traded
neurodiverse
the
that
rogue
when
is
you
their
say something, you
exclusive
have
one,
to
which
follow
these
up
can't.
with
These can't what? I
asking,
don't have
I'm
the
sorry, I
slightest
didn't
clue,
upset
because
you,
it
did
allows
I?
you to say a whole bunch of jargon that somehow translates into a completely different sentence. Timmy's having
I love being so ADHD and neurodiverse and mildly autistic to a point where I have to ask after every sentence, did I upset you? And then I'm always then paranoid that they don't like me anymore.
tea with the local blacksmith actually means let's go to the temple and steal some of the cleric's donations. Speaking of stealing, the thief archetype means you're especially fast at doing thiefy things like picking locks, chugging potions, and hardcore parkour. Assassin makes your stabs extra stabby, and you can stab while disguising yourself as a child you saw, who you can point to later and say they did it. Arcane Trickster basically turns you into a bard, except
dude, this is giving me so many ideas for what my next D&D character is going to be.
3 miles away. Mastermind is straight up Sherlock Holmes, complete with the assholery and catchy theme music. Swashbuckler won't stop bugging people to 1v1 them, and Scout, which is yet another better alternative to Ranger. Your job is to make sure everybody knows how much better you are at doing everything, because when the going gets tough, you know the party's going to turn to you one day and ask you to please pick the lock on the door to the king's castle because the bard accidentally kicked the guard in the genitals.
Everyone needs a good
trying to
road.
seduce them. And you'll gladly show them all the skills you've learned from growing up in such a harsh and unforgiving environment that was once your home.
I get it. I get it. He's edgy. He's edgy. We get it.
Dumb and stupid and makes no sense, and my brain hurts the more I try to figure out how it works.
Oh, please tell me he's going to talk about wild magic. Please tell me he's going to talk about wild magic.
Flowy robes and giant obnoxiously fashionable hats. No, I'm not jealous. Shut up. At the very least, though, most of them work hard for their magical abilities. Some of them cultivating
that sounds like you wish you could be as swag looking as a sorcerer.
Higher power, some having a codependent relationship with the arcane, and some lucky enough to have their parents bang a mystical creature and receive a small genetic loan of 1 million mana. Welcome to a crap guide to D&D.
Or you could be my tiefling and be born to a family of witches and not have any magic.
Casters, where your weapons suck, your armors suck, and your martial skills are closer to that of the average D&D player. Instead, you'll be relying on the mystical, magnificent mass of magics. Except in this case, not really relying on, and more like bullying it into doing what you want. Sorcerers are those who disrespect the rules of magic and can easily manipulate it like it's some young adult who's desperate for food that isn't microwaved or takeout. Maybe that's why your hit die is the one used for.
I'm sorry, but this shot right here. JOCAT's drawn Vor before, I know it. Yup.
Their takeout. Maybe that's why your hit die is the one used for Monopoly games. That's right, a pathetic D6, which likely means the DM won't have to do much to make you piss your pants in fear. The Cirque du Soleil's metamagic feature means you can enhance the spells you cast by paying off the essence of arcane with the inheritance money you got from your magical
Vor pays the bills? It most certainly does, not like I'm projecting.
Its effects include, but are not limited to, biased AoEs, angry AoEs, spells that gotta go fast, say, "Nuh-uh, I totally got you, I hit your shirt, clothing counts, get an extended spell warranty, double penetration, or even cast with the sound of your armpit farts if you don't feel like
that, and also pissing off your entire party when you cast something and oopsie doopsie your entire team in an Inferno Fireball because you didn't read the goddamn spell effect of your spell that you just cast, which in small print said, by the way, if you cast this, it will have a large effect that you think it does and kill all your teammates if they're too close. That has never happened to me once. Smile.
Talking that.
No, I did not mix up Fireball with Firebolt, just because they look the same and are spelt almost the same.
Day. And you can do all that and more by using your sorcery points,
the important thing is read your spells.
Nerdiest words you could ever
I
put
just
together
wish I
in a
was
single
literate.
phrase. It's also a weirdly effective safe word because it allows your magical BDSM to stop so your spell slots can catch their breath and recover. With archetypes, you have squishy clerics, zippy zappy, casty blasty, watch for the lightning, it gets nasty. Darkness, darkness, darkness. Scaly in denial, and the only one that really matters, the
Scaly in denial.
Wild magic! Where you and whatever other lucky souls nearby get to experience the high-octane thrills of randomness.
Yes!
Think your pathetic magic missile just won't cut it.
The amount of
Don't worry,
bullshit
with the right kind of luck, it could suddenly open up
gotten
a
into
one-way
because of
portal
wild
to
magic.
the fire planes. Who knows what crazy, helpful, and/or harmful effects could happen due to your gambling addiction? Let's spin that wheel and see how.
I remember one of the times my sorcerer cast a spell. I got the wild magic effect. And the effect that I was like, oh god, what's gonna happen? all that happened was my character started glowing. But they started glowing so brightly that the enemies we were trying to hide from instantly knew where we were. I love wild magic. It's hilarious.
Wild we can get! I may have spun it a little bit too hard because of my stonkingly huge muscles, so we'll just let that go for a while. Now, the main difference between the 3 arcane casters is how they get their magic. While wizards take years studying for the ACT and warlocks keep having to pay interest to their demon lord shareholders, sorcerers' magic comes from the fact that they were born inherently talented instead of needing to do any actual work. That's why your casting ability is charisma, because we totally need more of those, and just because you can cast spells doesn't necessarily mean you're smart. But who cares what's smart when you can cast big spells with big effects, so your big numbers can turn the big baddies into big piles of agility experience points. Insert fireball joke. And now you know how to play sorcerer. You're welcome. Well, shit.
Yeah, no, that holds up for wild magic.
Hey you sitting there with your saggy butt cheeks and emotionless expression. I know what you're thinking. Boy,
oh, that's not a nice thing to say to chat.
But all I got is an expendable firstborn
put up with that, guys. Fight him. Go fight Joe.
Immoral arcane master till the end of time. Well, that's just the exact sort of motivation we like for our employees at EDB Incorporated. And if you sign up with us, we'll be sure you're treated in a way that you deserve.
Other than rogues, warlocks are the other people who are most likely to accept a pact with Cthulhu.
Give us eternal servitude of your mortal soul. But on the bright side, we have dental. Welcome to a crap guide.
On the bright side, you get unlimited power.
So you want to use magic, but only as much as you want to hug that one family member you keep seeing at reunions, but aren't quite sure how you're related. Then you may want to be a warlock, the fake gamers of the Forgotten Realms. How warlocks differ from the other casters is that the amount of times you can cast your spells before running out of spell slots is absolute
but are evil.
Instead of having a set number of spells for each level
most likely to be accused of being evil. Like if one of your teammates got killed in their sleep, and you have 2 clerics, a paladin, and a warlock, well, I'm sorry, the warlock is going to be the one hitched and burnt it as on trial for being witch.
Have a biscuit and you're back on your feet. But you know what? Fuck real spells. You may think you're a caster, but really picking this class is purely an excuse to do nothing but cast everyone's favorite cantrip, Eldritch. Cast it at weddings.
True.
Funerals. Beach parties. Or you can just cast it randomly because the party's taking 5 hours to buy a single dagger from the shopkeeper and you're bored. Aside from casting nothing but Eldritch all day, the main draw of the Warlock is the fact that it's the greatest game of dress-up dolls of all time. Eldritch invocations allow you to custom tailor your Warlock so that it suits you better than my form-fit Kieran assless chaps. You can talk to animals without needing to cast a spell.
Not that we've been admiring.
Whenever you want, but most
wait, he's been wearing assless chaps? Wait, since when?
So that whenever you shoot your gobbledygook at whatever poor sap that looked at you funny, you can pull them forward and do your best Scorpion impression, snipe them from 2 blocks away, or make the beam of arcane destruction smell like strawberries if you like. But it's not all fun in Eldritch because remember, you signed a pact with a patron, so your power is being loaned to you from an all-powerful arcane sugar daddy. So you will have to pay interest if you want to make sure all that magic stays nicely tucked into your Eldritch sack. Luckily, they're not like bank loans because you can actually pay them off, and they're not always inherently evil. You have the choice of being bossed around by a literal devil who decided to make you their favorite person, so they're gonna be your mommy for a little bit. A skeleton who ironically refused.
Guys, I'm not saying you're enslaved when you come to me for your pact, but you do owe me a few favors, let's say that.
Just to let you die because you still owe him 2 platinum. Fairies who are just straight up assholes. God, so you're basically a cleric now. Literally Cthulhu. But forget all those because the only
my
real
current
option
campaign,
is that
I've just met Cthulhu.
Shield that yells fuck when you swing it. Basically, you have such a huge amount of options to choose from with how you build your warlock. It's very unlikely any 2 warlocks will be the same. So get your shopping baskets, light some candles, have fun customizing. Oh, and remember, you have to
actually learning about D&D from this. That's kind of wild.
And now you know how to play warlock. You're
yay! It's a wizard time!
You know, I mean, I've never had a student score 0 in everything before.
What do you mean? I chose exactly the perfect spell for every situation.
Well, you answered fireball for every question.
What's your point, person within fireball distance?
What I mean is you can't expect a big damaging area of effect spell to be the answer for everything. Maybe try some different spells.
Excuse me, Mr. Wizard, you're not sounding like you rolled high on wisdom. Sounds like you don't understand the power of fireball.
Prestidigitation. It has a surprising amount of uses, even though it costs nothing.
I'm about to prestidigitate all over your desk if you keep suggesting lame-o spells.
What I'm saying is
fireball!
A wizard is the apex of the arcane, the ultimate utility caster, and one of these days you're gonna find yourself in an encounter where fireball isn't gonna...
Also, I hate the fact that my... JOCAT just used the bucket tool to fill this, but he didn't use a border extension, so you can see the gap as to where he just used the bucket tool. Either that, or that's supposed to be his tongue, and he wasn't supposed to fill that in. Either way, I'm ashamed that I'm an artist and that I could see that.
Isn't gonna. Where'd you go? What the fuck?
Welcome to a crack D&D.
Fireball! It's a
Classic, the
wizard
OG, the frail
time!
old man with a stick that shoots magic missiles at a few goblins and then has to go door to door telling his neighbors he's a registered hex offender. The wizard is the most powerful class if you ignore any other classes that are stronger, which are all of them, because this thing is more fragile than a single layered sheet of toilet paper that's been soaking in the soggy crack of the bridge troll's ass cheeks. This class is the
I didn't need to
sorcerer's
see
way more
that.
studious dorky neighbor who does all the hard work for none of the recognition. You get saving throws and intelligence and wisdom instead of constitution and charisma, so sure you'll be able to ace that pop quiz and not have to worry about being distracted, but you won't be able to hold your liquor or score any hot dates at Chad Firebolt's party in the Golden Mansion his chromatic dragon dad bought him. If you're looking for the silver lining, the wizard is definitely the heaviest case of be careful who you call ugly in magic school. The wizard's spell list is thicker than the Storm King's thunder thighs. You gain spell slots like a shower drain gets hair, and during a short rest you can even choose a small amount of spell slots to recover depending on your level. Best of all, at higher levels you even get the ability to cast your favorite low-level spells as many times as you like. But who are we kidding? You're likely going to be dead before you reach that high, either killed by your own fireballs or killed by all your pissed off allies who were caught in your own fireballs. But hold your horses there, Mr. I actually believe wizard memes are as funny in the game as they are on social media. All your spells are tied to your spellbook because wizards have short-term memory loss, and unless it's a cantrip, you can only cast a spell if you have a 3-step tutorial with pictures to color. But the work doesn't just stop there. The stronger spells at higher levels are going to need expensive magical components to cast them if you don't want to embarrass yourself with arcanal dysfunction and suddenly your finger of death feels more like a finger of mild discomfort. People say wizards are the utility casters because of the massive amount of spells at their disposal. Many of which
I don't know, guys. I'm not feeling like I'm very encouraged to play this class.
Those people are stupid. Use Fireball and only Fireball. Nothing but Fireball. Just
yes,
Fireball.
Exactly. Thank you,
Fireball.
Joe.
Just Fireball. Because they are the nerds of D&D, wizards have an unhealthy amount of knowledge of all of the different schools of magic. So instead of having their archetypes based around a certain theme, they get one for each of the aforementioned schools of magic, which is too damn many to go over, and frankly, I don't have the time or gummy bears to last a whole lecture. Instead, I'm going to quickly summarize each school of magic.
And I have ADHD, so I've already lost attention to... Oh, wait, the next video's coming.
Evocation elements to burn or shock or freeze your friends. Necromancy spares the dying, or you could just resurrect them. Abjuration keeps you safe and almost next.
But through the power of a song, I now learn everything.
Conjuration, portals and make stuff for free. Transmutation, turn buff the buff or in between. And delusion, visual tricks to prank the brain with fear and silence. Blur and go invisible. Pretend you're someone else's dad. Disguise, mislead, take on their life. War.
And if you have the attention to listen through this, you are better than me.
And now you know how to play wizard. You're welcome.
Ah, yes. Now, time for the Artificer. The class that my goblin
magic
was.
Is dumb and stupid and makes no sense, and I trust that man. He wields a sword and a shield, so why use magic when you can use big brain energy and the power of science? And I know how much nerds love science, so much that they won't shut up about it and one day start making weird advances towards their Texas instrument. Listen, we all have our urges, but seriously, get a server room. Welcome to a crap guide to D&D.
Why do you think Issa has a mechanical arm?
It's about damn time we got another intelligence caster. The stat is about as commonly used for spellcasting as your bedroom is used for sexy times. The artificer is an inventor who decided traditional magical means by accomplished wizards and scholars are too mainstream, but decided to come up with their own magic spells and items after reading 2 articles by angry moms from Baldur's Gate who discovered casting real spells can actually give you genital flumps. Checkmate, sorcerers. Instead of that, you can tinker with items to imbue them with special properties, like turning it into a flashlight, turning it into a scented candle, or turning it into a phone that can only record and play
or turning it into a plot device that allows the story to go forwards and the DM to have a few moments of respite so that they can actually come up with ideas for how they're supposed to get the story back on track. Not that that's what I did several times in my campaign, but hey.
The best part is that once you give the item the properties, it lasts forever. So go have fun enjoying your 7 seconds of fame before the service shuts down and you become a struggling vlogger. And speaking of messing with the natural properties of items, as you level up, you gain infusions, which allow you to turn that sex toy you hide in the dresser from a basic vibrator to a vibrator. Infusions include, but are not limited to, boring stat increase, Thor's hammer, item dupe glitch, and go gadget blink-a-boots. This is all due to your massive IQ rating of 20 billion, which is so high you can add your intelligence modifier to any of you or your ally party members' dice rolls and become the ultimate backseat gamer telling them about the bad guy's weak spots because there's no way their simple minds could have figured it out on their own. And if that doesn't work out, you can use one of the 50 magical items you've made yourself and refuse to part with like someone on an episode of Hoarders, or pull a fast one and throw the magical vibrator that you secretly stored a charge of Fireball in. Being the new class that it is, the Artificer only has 3 subclasses so far. No, I'm not going to cover the new ones that come out. Stop asking, I just want to go on vacation with my sword and shield already. The Alchemist Alchemist is like a drunk doctor and gains a few healing spells, can buff allies with the power of drinking and gambling, and can help you grow closer bonds with your pets. If you want a big fuck-off gun, the Artillerist can create an Eldritch Cannon that can either fire 3 different kinds of artillery or just sit there contributing nothing while you marvel at your amazing craftsmanship, because keeping track of more than one thing on the board is hard, isn't that right, Dungeon Master? And lastly, the Battlesmith, where you decide to stop being a puss baby and join the fight with a mystery-solving robo-dog sidekick. Ranger. Overall, the Artificer loves making, finding, and using loads and loads of magical items, which means you'll probably forget about
most likely to be a kleptomaniac
players
up on
can't
the
be
road.
trusted to even remember the items they started with at the beginning of the campaign. Just make sure to keep them under good
I
security
never
so
remember the items I have.
while you're long rest, and suddenly you wake up to the sound of Tchaikovsky's 1812 Overture. Now you know how to play Artificer. You're welcome.
Love it. Wait, what? Races?
So, you picked your class, hold on to your ass, it's gonna get crass cause race, part of the role you can play. Some sentient clay, a he, she, or they, a beast who gets real snarly, a regular dude named Charlie.
We get some raps.
If homebrew is free, a big talking tree.
Pokemon
Welcome
rap.
to a crap guide to D&D.
Flibbity, flibbity, wibbity, wibbity. Come on, Joe, lay it down. We gonna get down with a clown, hell yeah.
Arakocra, big fucking bird. You got some wings so you can fly, and if non-weapon melee's preferred, they get sharp talons to bit scratch a guy. Or maybe you're more of an Aasimar, still avian. If you lower the bar, angelic people with radiant
different levels
energy
of being
or
a
darkness
furry.
if you flap your wings edgily. Bugbears aren't actually bears at all, more like beastly orcs and just as tall, but oddly sneaky and your arms are long, so you're really freaking good at playing basketball. But if going full beast is a little too far, you could always do half and decide to be a centaur, charging the enemies so they can readily get steadily back up while you stomping them deadly. For Sneaky Bunch, changeling's
this is all
cool,
mainstream, right? This is even including homebrew stuff.
Whatever race, there's nearly no limit.
I've got friends who do like their own homebrew classes.
The Skyrim kind are likely the kid of a bard that'll find dragons really hot, so now you shoot
And
ass or whatever other color
magic.
your parents preferred asses. The typical dwarf with a beautiful beard, you work with your hands and are physically sturdy. You seem informed about rocks, which is weird. Try not to obsess or the sesh will get wordy. Elves are papa's pricks, a dozen flavors to match and mix. They live a long time, don't sleep instead trance, and are hard to be charmed, so bards keep it in your pants. Pick a fear bolt, a chill-ass cow, most of which have druidic vow, and don't ask how, but they can turn invisible, which is a big concern. Genasi, elemental genie bastards, one of 4 elements that they have mastered in some way, lets them do cool shit like waterbend or have a fire-breathing armpit. Githyankin Githzerai, elves that look like they wanna die, all they're about is how they clash. Been around 40 years and their lore's still trash. Short stack, gnome, happy short folk who are smart and wise and cunning and know how to crack into good camouflage, be it sneaking or magic or cool.
Sorry to pause, but if you willingly choose to be a gnome, I am not joining your party.
Roguish montage. Whack is the goblin. Small size hits hard on your noggin. Their nimbleness makes
if you're
it
gonna
hard
be a
to keep
goblin,
pace.
at
They'll
least be a kobold instead. If you're that obsessed with size difference.
So the hottest IMO is Goliath. They're 8 feet tall, have steel for their balls, and can shrug off damage like one-man riots. Half-elves, the mutts and mules of D&D. Extra points to spend on 2 abilities and skills out the ass. It's the best of both races, and backstories usually come from stupid places. Half-orc, like I said, muscles are in. You're a ruthless brute who fights to win. Your crits get crits, and you can terrify. And if you feel like it, you can say no when you die. If your luck is nasty, the halfling's good. You re-roll ones and win like you should, and you're hard to scare, so go party with a dragon, and you can slip through if it's angry off the flagon. Humans get a little bit of everything. They lack gimmicks or special flair or any zing, and are all around average. You know how it is, and the perfect pick if you're boring. Races,
oh my god, this is actually 5 minutes long. Okay, but muscle waifus? Yeah, there she is.
Too many, so come witness the list of this guide to all of the races.
That's a lot of... Oh boy. Oh boy.
Hobgoblin. They trust in a code, be it God or communism or giant toad. They're a prideful chode, so whenever you fail, the more watch you retry means you go beast mode. If you're an edgy avian, Kenku sneaky, agile and crafty and can easily lie. They can mimic voices
this
to be
actually
a bit
slaps
cheeky. Too
so
bad
much.
they get bullied because they can't fly. The kobold is a mischievous one. They hate
kobold!
bright light, and there's often more than one. They can trick dumb fools and steal their jewels, but ganging up together can be pretty fun. Guess it's scaly owls, because lizard folk have sticks up their ass and
never
can't
do
take a
anything
joke.
wrong.
They can bite and craft and stay a while underwater, and have hard-ass scales to block cannon fodder. Loxodon are straight-up elephants. They're large size and thick hide, make them dense. Got trunks to smell and are wise and mostly merry, but piss one off and you'll see.
You can be an elephant in D&D? Why did nobody tell me? I'm now realizing all the things I could have done with a trunk.
See, they're damn scary. Want to breathe underwater? Lokatha is a fish. A straight up fish. Literally, just a fish. Your armor starts high and get tons of resistance. Stay dry and you die. You're still just a fish. Big beastly bull is a minotaur. Got horns to charge. If you run pretty far, make them shit their pants while you're at it. Being big and scary is a habit. Speaking of, orcs. Superstitious and strong, but also often wrong with a -2 to end. That's okay, so to say. You're aggressive and massive. Got angry parents means they're rarely passive. Cat goes rejoice. Tabaxi is here. Obsessed with stuff and quite the sightseer. Fast like a cat, get claws and climb far. Tons of coats like leopard, tiger, and jaguar. Tiefling's a demon with a lot of looks. They're horny and hot and often a provoker in the lore anyway. A lot of hate. It's normal, I guess, when you're a panty soaker. If you want to be a big reptilian who's strong and hardy, then Tortle has a shell that's AC's 1,000,000, so have fun being a hermit immortal. Triton is just an aquatic elf who evolved itself in the continental shelf, and you're basically Aquaman. Fish can understand you. No, they won't do your laundry just because you demand to. The verdant, like a goblin, but pretentious. Mind powers that make mystics contentious. Bunch of passive shit. What is this, peace hour? Come back and talk to me when you learn real power. You pure blood like humans, but snaky. Never make a date with one, I hear they're flaky. Manipulative bunch with magic resistance. Don't take their oral offer, no matter the persistence. Fair human mix is the cow star.
Like some drama recently?
That's really bizarre, like telepathy.
Didn't other people like get him into drama or something?
The shifters, like a half lycanthrope with 4 different types with exclusive features. You can't transform, at least not fully, so you often look more like a freakish creature. Simic hybrids are a random fusion of aquatic things, like a squid or a crab. Gain bonuses depending which one, so have some big pincers for new ways to stab. Warforged, robots forged for war, don't have to eat or sleep or breathe, and what's more is you're tanky as well, being hard to steal. The only downside is you'll never truly feel. Vidalkin tells us nobody's perfect. Look like Navi people without the long neck. They get lots of bonuses, so smart's not shocking. Good luck ever getting one to stop talking. And that's the lot, and always remember class race importance is pretty seldom. Use whatever you fancy, make a chubby fighter dancing. Now you know how to pick your race.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's all part of the roleplay, right? Goblins!
What's wrong, you pathetic, sad, procrastinating dungeon master? Can't come up with a worthwhile and interesting combat encounter?
Wait, why is there just one entire category for goblins?
You only have half an hour before the session because you spent the last...
Issa? Hold up. For this one, take over, Issa. You're on.
Fascinating about a totally different campaign you wish to run one day, but ultimately know you never will because you're in a constant state of prep work and insecurity? That's okay. Everybody knows no matter how basic the combat is, it's going to take forever anyway thanks to any spellcasters and people on their phones, and is mostly just a chance for the DM to stall for time while they figure out the next story beats. That and an excuse to show off whatever art of the thing the players are fighting that the DM paid $3 grand in commissions or miniatures to make for them. Or you could just grab whatever the nearest thing on your shelf is and say, fuck it, we're fighting this little bastard today. Welcome to a crap guide to D&D.
That's true. Makari's bloody well bought a bunch of commissions to get her D&D stuff together.
Goblins are one of the most iconic creatures in Dungeons & Dragons, famous for being low and mid-level cannon fodder, having the respawn rate of a seahorse playing Call of Duty, and being definitely an affordable thing that everyone can get into. Goblins are what you default to when you have no idea what the party should be fighting because they're just so splattered all over the realm that everyone just accepts that they can show up anywhere.
Alright, got myself some milk and cookies.
I find great offense to that. Goblins are a very contributing member of society, just because some of us are miscreants.
God, Jesus, what the fuck?
Goblins were originally created by the hobgoblins, who one day got really lazy and decided to make a generation of poor saps that they could shove all their baggage onto and then blame for when the economy they don't have a say in gets destroyed. This has sort of evolved into how goblins mostly live in tribes where the biggest asshole is the leader and everybody else is just sort of used to being treated as poorly as a retail worker. That's not to say all goblins are meek little green muppets. Given enough size and numbers and time to prepare an ambush, and even the most basic goblin squads can turn an 8th level party into the aftermath of eating at White Castle. This is because goblins are a culture constantly raiding like they're trying to get world first and have a knack for throwing themselves at the first thing they see that looks like they could potentially bite its ear off. They're also somewhat smart. Leaders of goblin tribes consistently placing first in tournaments of Connect 4, and the race as a whole frequently mounting and fighting alongside creatures such as wargs, which are oversized wolves that are perpetually angry as people keep stealing their art off Instagram. If you ever decide to play as a goblin, you'll receive a little bit of dex and con from being agile and resilient little gremlins, and the ability to quickly pussy out of combat like you're at a friend's house and the parents started arguing. And Fury of the Small, where you get to punch below the belt and make the enemy's voice go up as many octaves as your player level. Now that's the general idea of what goblins are supposed to be in the Forgotten Realms, but this is D&D, which means everybody breaks the rules more than an episode of Yu-Gi-Oh! And the fact that goblins are so adaptable to so many situations and environments means that there's no limit to how they can be portrayed or what they can be used for. You can make them mindless monsters that fill the
Listen here, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what goblin you really choose for. So it matters, all that truly matters is that they're the contributing member, and truly, anyone who ever doubts a goblin's ability is only self-consciously projecting their own insecurities, because truly, goblins are the leading contributor to any party we're part of. So get back on your pedestal and stop thinking that you're so mightier than us. We are just as good as the rest of the lot of you.
last few empty rooms of a dungeon, or adorable little scamps that the party will adopt the instant they see them, or design them so unexpectedly attractive that it'll make people question if they discovered a new fetish or if it was there all along and this was just its awakening. You
Cool.
Why do I feel as though I've been called out somewhat in this? Listen, I don't even really give a toss about the whole sex stuff. I'd rather just be in my workshop trying to build stuff, you know what I'm saying? Just because my hips are wider than the average intelligence of a human doesn't mean that means that that's all I'm about, you know what I'm saying?
You too can throw an endless supply of XP at your party while giving them conflicting feelings on stomping on an innocent little cutie pie that was just minding its own business and just wanted a little bit of love. Isn't that right, you sweetie petite? Ow, son of a bitch. Now you know how to use goblins. Booyah!
Yeah! Everyone loves goblins. Everybody loves goblins. Okay, let's go for the next one. Boom. Alignment.
Hi, I just wanted to take a sec for more people to notice and understand this disclaimer. Most importantly, this part. I don't actually want to upset anybody. It's all part of the character, and I hope.
No, don't apologize, Joe. Fuck them. Fuck them. If they're getting upset, they're the ones in the wrong. They're the ones who don't know how to take a joke. And second of all, it's like your opinion. It's like trying to gatekeep anything. Why would you gatekeep fantasy? Don't apologize for other people's insecurity. Oh my god.
Okay. Everybody likes personality quizzes, right? See what your spirit animal, how burnt of a toasted slice of bread you are, what's your worst trait as an employee based on the brand of cereal you like to buy. They're great because most of the time, if you don't like what the quiz results give you, you can look up which answers contribute to what result and just get the one that you wanted in the first place and then brag about it on social media. Wow, would you look at that? I'm such a Slytherin because I'm so
it was
cunning,
a remake.
Right? Yeah, well, joke's on you. That was all an intelligent ruse. I'm actually a Ravenclaw. Or am I? Same with star signs. They're just vague enough that they can boil down to.
Anyway, thank you for being on the screen for the goblin section. Very fitting.
Can be impulsive, but in the end of the day, wants to do the best that you can for the people you care about while never settling for the worst possible outcome.
And I could say I just described a Libra and they eat that shit up like they're a pet that just found some stray cardboard. Luckily, Dungeons and Dragons doesn't have any of that dumb personality shit that
drama. I feel so sorry for the guy.
On the internet in hopes to totally
he's done nothing but put work in and try to make stuff. And people treated him like that was pathetic. I do think, though, he maybe did overreact
an old
a
relic
smidge.
of the past and the easiest way to start fights both on and offline.
Hi,
The
Mel.
D&D
Thank you for
alignment
following.
chart is its version of a personality quiz that no one can agree on. You've likely seen this tic-tac-toe board being used with pop culture characters being placed in each segment, giving a vague idea of what each of them means.
That have
but
been
then all it
died of
takes is
death.
for you to put someone in the wrong place and then everyone starts throwing fists as if they had just found out that you used their facial hair razor to shave your butthole. Remember, characters can only be one alignment for...
Oh god, that just gave me the horrendous PTSD of when I almost used somebody's freaking toilet scrubbing toothbrush. Ugh.
Forever, and must only ever do things considered to be that alignment because thinking about character depth and development is hard, and when people disagree with me, I take it as a personal attack. More importantly, as a player, you get to say what your character's alignment is, and no one can ever debate that you're not playing that alignment because you know your character better than they do, and they're just jealous and wish
And who
their
knows?
scrubby
Maybe
sheet
your
was as cool
alignment
as
will
yours,
change
so they can
halfway
suck
through your
fat
campaign.
nards. Small smooth brains think lawful means the literal sense as in following the law, but instead what it really means is having a strict set of rules, whether it be moral, legal, or because your boss is telling you to do it. It's one of the most predictable alignments. 99% of the time when a lawful character sets out to do something through a promise or obligation, they actually follow through, which is why they make great fitness instructors, because when they say they're not gonna fuck your mom, they actually don't fuck your mom. A lawful good act is keeping the promise because it's the right thing to do. A lawful neutral keeps the promise because it is a promise and they're gonna stick by it even if fucking your mom saves the universe. And a lawful evil keeps the promise because they're gonna fuck your dad instead since he technically didn't say anything about him.
No, not the dad. Well, at least that'll keep your mum available for me.
Inversely, the chaotic side of the chart are for characters that don't give a fuck about their integrity and do whatever the hell they want because they feel like it. Small smooth brains will use this alignment as an excuse to be a total wangrod and have an inconsistent character with no definable traits. Also known as the chaotic alignment's more recognizable cousin, the stupid alignment, with its constant wacky, also random XD approach to playing their character. The most common examples of chaotic acts are lying, cheating, and stealing, aka part of a rogue's balanced breakfast. A chaotic good is stealing from the rich and giving to the less fortunate. A chaotic neutral cheats to win a tournament and uses the winnings to eat something aside from a bread sandwich every night. And a chaotic evil will lie about
why would you co-sign yourself? I mean, surely certain characters will have themes, but why would you want to limit yourself saying, actually today I'm feeling lawfully neutral, but who knows what I'll be feeling tomorrow?
Again, and then burst
Maybe
into
tomorrow
his
I'll be
bedroom
feeling a
as
little
soon
bit
as you blink
quirky.
like a really slutty weeping angel.
God, some of these
The good and
fucking
evil
get me.
sides of the alignment chart are pretty straightforward. Good is if you're a good person, and evil if you're a jackass. But that's a small, smooth-brained, surface-level understanding of good and evil, as in no, just because you don't
yes,
stab people
I see you need to
doesn't mean
understand
not
Rick and
stabbing
Morty
them is a
levels
good
of
act,
intellect
just
to be
'cause
able
stabbing
to
them is a lot
understand this.
easier. Good acts are ones that go out of the character's way to do good and
if
help
you're a
others, sometimes
lawful
even to the
good,
good
you
person's
can't do
detriment, and
dick
oftentimes even if
jacking.
there's no promise of any sort of reward in return for the act. Like using your own hand to get a friend's favorite Lego set out of the toilet, even after a night of really spicy curry. In contrast, evil is pretty straightforward, i.e. actions that could actively harm people, or not caring about how those actions could knowingly harm people. An evil act would be being the person who threw the Lego set into the toilet, knowing full well it could be somebody's favorite. But good and evil doesn't just mean motives, it means methods too, and just because you have nice ends doesn't mean having mean means makes it any less mean. Example, you've caught a kidnapper and need to find out where they're hiding their captive so you can save them. A good act could be offering some snacks and a binge watch of their favorite show in return for information, whereas an evil act would be chopping their nipples off.
Yes.
The neutral cross of the alignment chart is for players who are terrified of commitment and refers to acts that either don't fall on either side of the good, evil, or lawful, chaotic side of the spectrum, or characters that are horse for choice and like to do whatever tickles their pickle the most, depending on the situation. Maybe they'll be
Just 'cause you hear
employee
something
of the
about
month for
nipple
one
chopping
boss
doesn't
and
mean you have
then
to
shit on
shout
the
that
desk of
out.
their next. Basically, the neutral ends of the alignment chart
watch
are the
the
most
damn
pure
video.
and concentrated, like
Go
the
on.
curvature of my butt cheeks, and do basically anything and everything that could be considered the essence of that side of the chart. And of course, the middle ground, true neutral,
Can we make a
aka
tally on
the
how
one
many
that's always
times
playing
JOCAT
devil's
has made a
advocate for
reference to
literally
his butt
everything, like they
cheeks?
spend 10 hours a day discussing opinions on Reddit. And there you have it, the totally accurate, totally objective descriptions for each side of the alignment chart with no room for any other interpretations whatsoever. And if anyone tries to argue otherwise, they can suck fat nards. Also, never let players pick their own alignment, because when they do, it actually looks like this.
But that's totally because I'm such a Gemini, and we don't think people are self-aware enough to be able to categorize themselves without being subconsciously influenced by their own personal biases.
And now you know how to use alignment. You're welcome.
I feel as though there was a little
may
bit
think
of
you know
projecting in that one. I feel as though JOCAT is a very angry person with other people's stupidity. Time for the character
But
sheet.
guess what, nerd? You don't. Not until you understand what the fuck is all this shit. What is this? What is this?
This was exactly the reason why I almost didn't do D&D. Because I saw this and was like, oh man, that's a lot of reading. I'm not even literate. You expect me to read? Like, the first D&D campaign I ever did, I had to have my DM sit there and literally explain every single thing on the character sheet. And then I literally had to apologize after everything that I did for the first, like, 7 sessions because I had no idea. Like, can I do this? Can I do that? Is this something I can do? Am I able to, like, make out with the dragon?
I need to know animal handling. The fuck is Arcana? The shit are hit dice. What's a proficiency bonus? Why are Electrum pieces so...
Don't even get me started on the additions! Why do we have different editions? What's a Pathfinder? What's a 4th edition? What's a 5th edition? Does it make any difference? Ah!
Stupid! Well, strap in for a formal education, ass hair. I'm gonna reteach you how to do math, because let's be honest, you still use a calculator to add and subtract single digits. Welcome to A Crap Guide to D&D.
Thank you, Ronan.
Time to sleep.
This is your character sheet. Your character cannot exist without it. However, it doesn't always have to look like this. It could be a simple flashcard, a scribbling in a notebook, or an app on your phone if you like being spoon-fed like a baby who laughs at the phrase pee-pee poo-poo watermelon. And when playing as a character in D&D, you will refer to the character sheet whenever you have to roll the various kinds of dice that decide the outcome of your actions. Many are intimidated by this mighty thingy's magnificence, but mourn them ye shall not, for they be weak-ass bitches. It looks like a whole lot, but get a hold of yourself and take it one step at a time. The first person to voluntarily stick something up their butt didn't get anywhere by crying about how intimidating it is to stick something up their butt. They just did it, and look how far we've come.
I've never felt more in touch with a metaphor in my life.
We have the basics, name, class, race, background, and dumb BuzzFeed quiz results. These things will determine later things, so don't worry about those things until we come to them later. But if you don't know what you want those to be yet, that's okay. We can mosey on over to this Tower of Pimps, which will be the most important part of your entire sheet.
Ability scores.
These are your basic stats, the strengths and weaknesses of your character, and the main determiner of whether you're going to be snooping or spooping when dungeoning those dragons.
Like, listen, if me, Inky, resident stupid person, was able to absorb and understand the character sheet to a point where I can relatively use it, that means it is easily not as complicated as what people let it out to be.
Strength is your strong, heaping muscles. How much shit you can carry, how well you can push or pull heavy objects, and how well you can make your pecs dance.
It also determines the weapon damage
baby.
for most melee weapons, but we'll get to that later. Next is dexterity, the little bitch version of strength. It's your hand-eye coordination, reflexes,
Hey,
and
I know
balance, and
that
how well you
stat
can hide your
from,
handheld
Dark
when you hear
Souls.
mommy and daddy stomping up to your room like Godzilla. Where strength is about how you can plow through a table being thrown at you, dex is about how you can limbo walk under it. Dex can also be used with what are called finesse weapons, which lets you pick
Basically
between the two
agility.
physical stats when rolling attacks and damage in case you skipped arm day. Constitution is your general vitality, how healthy you are, your endurance, and is used for rolls as frequently as a millennial eats breakfast. It mostly only affects your overall hit points, but it's still fairly important and can be treated like the amount of candy in your pantry. You only realize how little you have once you see somebody.
Also, a good way of determining how much shit you're willing to put up with before you have to take an insanity check because your team are filled with a bunch of absolute idiots that don't know how to do teamwork or cohesive, and there's that one person in the team that decides that they want to have main character syndrome and test your patience and sanity more than I do every time I pause chat the video.
Else with lots of it. Intelligence is dumb. That is, unless you pump it up for big galaxy brains and become smarter than the average bugbear. It's used for general knowledge-based checks involving things like recalling info on history, magic, religion, and most importantly, defeating things with facts
makes
and
sense.
logic. To generalize, it's book smarts. You know a lot of things.
Big
It's
smarts.
also used as a spellcasting modifier for both the wizard and artificer classes. Oh, don't worry, we'll get to spellcasting later. Impatient bitch. Wisdom is one that confuses a lot
Whoa,
of people
okay,
because they think
Joe.
it's just like intelligence. And
Insulting.
I'm willing to bet those are the kinds of people who think cheese and mayonnaise can coexist on a sandwich. No, wisdom is
Dude, I literally had a ham, cheese, and mayonnaise sandwich this morning. How dare you? That's it. We can't watch any more JOCAT videos. I'm sorry,
more
we
your
can't.
street smarts and also general senses. It's knowledge based on practice and experience. No, not that experience. And it's the difference between knowing if a plant is poisonous and knowing that the person who told you it was poisonous lied about it because they don't want you finding their beloved lemon tree. You
That's
damn
called
lemon whore.
high
It's also
wisdom.
the casting ability of clerics, druids, and rangers. Finally is charisma. How to tell if
Me,
your character
I am nothing but
fucks. It can
charisma.
mean anything from your general likability to approachability to public speaking ability to betting ability. It's your charm, your confidence, and general way
The
with people, whether it
pizzazz.
be luring them into a trap or aggressively scaring them so bad that they actively jump onto the trap out of fearful compliance. And it's the casting ability for bards, paladins, sorcerers, and warlocks, because remember, you gotta look pretty for the boss patron if you want to get that big eldritch bonus. Now that we're done covering ability scores, we can go over how you get them. And there are 3 generally used methods. If you're a wee baby who needs to meticulously make your perfect OC or else you won't be faithful to your precious self-insert, there's the point buy system, which works like a basic video game. All your stats start at 8 and you have a pool of points, usually 27, to distribute between them all, with the cost going up to 2 points per ability score increase higher than 13, and the cap being at 15. If you hate math, that's too bad because there's going to be loads of it later, but if you want slightly less of it, there's also standard array, which gives you the numbers 15, 14, 13, 12, 10, and 8 to arrange on any of your scores. But if that's still too much choice and you want to put your character into the grubby hands of RNGesus, there's the most widely known method, which is rolling 4d6 and dropping the lowest number. This can get you scores anywhere from a whopping 18 to
that's
a
kind of cool.
poopy dookie 3.
I think I did that for my 3rd campaign. I think all of the others, though, were just, I think it was averages. Oh no, I think it was the first system,
If your
actually.
DM is a sadist and doesn't do grace rolls, but often results in overall
Then my
chunkier
ADHD
stats.
kicks
Whatever
in and I
method you do,
hyperfixate
each
on
number
min-maxing.
corresponds to a second number. Ooh boy, are you overwhelmed yet? You have to keep track of 2 whole numbers. What a crazy catastrophic conundrum. Well, don't you worry your stubby earlobes, because those big numbers aren't really that important. Their main purpose is to determine a smaller number called a modifier, which means you can totally ignore this number when you actually start to pillage the village. There's a fairly simple mathematical equation to figure out what each number's bonus is, but I know you're a dumb silly
And
pants, so
this
here's a chart.
is
Now we just
why people get put off from doing D&D. They see this kind of shit and they're like, oh god, I don't know how to math. Dude, modifiers, the calculations. I just wanted to get laid with a dragon, dude.
Stop crying about it. The reason the ability modifier is important is because it's what you add to your dice roll whenever they're applicable. So if you have a lot of strength, you're going to get a little extra oomph whenever you need to punch the vending machine when your chips are stuck. Have low charisma and you're going to have a hard time convincing the janitor that you weren't the one who broke it. Keep in mind you can still roll great with low stats and roll badly with high stats. But having high ability modifiers makes it so your rolls are more in your favor. Now that you have your scores all placed and your modifiers figured out, now we can determine where those modifiers go, which means we can look at this spaghetti jumbling mess of words. Now
I don't have
go
the
running a
intelligence to understand this
calculator
kind of
just yet.
character
It's
sheet.
so easy even Fighter-Man can figure it out. At the top here are your saving throws. These are your defenses and resistances to various bads that want to smush you up and turn you into a turd. Things like traps, area of effects, most spells, and that little voice telling you that you're making poor decisions.
Again,
you don't
though,
roll these
I
on
am
your own
learning.
most of the time. Instead, your
I've
DM
done
will
so
ask
many
you to make them
campaigns,
whenever you're
like
put in
4 or
harm's
5
way.
maybe.
You see these little
I'm
spaces? That's
still
where your
learning from
ability
this.
modifiers go. That's right. This way you can
Whoa.
refer to these numbers to add to your rolls whenever they come into play. Look how smart you are. I could just give you a wedgie right now. Next are your skills.
please
These are the
do.
various different capabilities your character is able to do in a regular game of D&D. And
free?
each one is
A
affected by your
wedgie?
ability scores, just like your saving throws. And just like your saving throws, there's this trusty little space for you to put your awesome stonking and or poodoo modifiers. And how can you tell what ability mod goes where? Well, you foolish mortal wombat. Just look at this helpful little parentheses that tells you what it's attributed to. Go down the list and now you have a reference for what your character's good or terrible at. Got high dex? Well, congratulations, your sleight of hand means you can cheat at poker better. Bad at intelligence? Well, then you're probably not going to know who President Dingle Bloopy Noop is during the history segment of Are You Smarter Than a Kobold? Now, we're not quite done yet with this llama lot. We gotta go over what
smarter than a kobold because I put my pants on myself this morning.
Is what separates the fake gamers from the hardcore top 500 ultra platinum uber pros. And you can find it in this little dingle. Starting at level 1, your proficiency bonus is 2, and it increases as you level up more and more. Basic gist, it goes up by
I don't think
1
I've ever
every 4
used
levels.
proficiency.
This number is added to anything you are proficient, aka trained with. And as far as saving throws and skills go, this will be signified by a little check mark. And which ones those little check marks go into is determined by a combination of your class background and on rare occasion race. For example, a fighter has proficiency in strength and con saving throws, so wha-bam, wha-bam! Add those numbers. They also get to choose 2 skills to be proficient with from this list according to the parrot hambone. Normally you would pick your own, but here we're just gonna go athletics and perception. Wha-bam, wha-bam! Let's say you're also a hermit. You get these 2 skills to be proficient in.
Oh, this makes sense.
Whenever you're proficient with something, it means you get to add this sexy number on top of whatever appropriate ability modifier that's added to the dice roll you make.
Please, daddy system, do all the thinking for me so I don't have to use my stinky brain.
And if at any point you forget what you're proficient in, just refer back to the player handbook for your race.
Why do I feel like people have unironically used this entire playlist to learn D&D more proficiently? I can see it. I can actually see it. This is more informative than those really basic bitch guides that you see. Like, I would rather watch this to learn how to use the character sheet than I would do by typing in D&D guide and watching some 50-year-old hermit living in his basement explain with the most monotone, crackly voice how to use a character sheet.
Class and background. Congratulations, you now know how 90% of Dungeons and Dragons works. You feeling smart yet? You feeling like you can wrestle a spider cow? Well, sit the hell back down because we're not done yet.
Combat.
Jeez.
Now that we're done with the stat portion of the character sheet, we can look at the combat portion. This section is what you refer to when your DM says clickety clackety, you're about to get attackety. Up at the very top left is your armor class, or AC for short. This by default is 10 plus your dexterity modifier.
That's what AC stands for? Dude, even up until my session last night, I was always wondering why the DM was asking me, does it hit you? I was like, I don't know, does it? You're the DM.
Modifier, not the score, pay attention. However, this can be increased by the different types of armor. Whichever one you start with will depend on which class you pick. Next is initiative. Whenever an encounter begins, initiative is rolled and determines who goes first and who stacks dice for the next
it's not that I can't
this
read, it's just that I choose not to.
Modifier and is added to your initiative roll at the beginning of an encounter.
And when I do read, I usually
forget. How much you can move across the checkerboard each turn. I
have been crucified with a trifecta of horrendous things that makes reading impossible. I can read, it's just sometimes I'm too lazy to. And when I do read, you then have to roll a 2d20 as to whether I remember or not, because I'm also forgetful. And then the other caveat is I just don't understand what I read sometimes, because my brain doesn't go fast enough for my body to absorb that information.
5 feet of movement if you're normal and use the Imperial system, and is initially determined by your race or how well you can try to convince your DM that your character ran track in high school. Below that are the hit points, maximum, current, and temporary. Your maximum hit points is like an anime fan's figure shelf after about 2 conventions. You can try to fit more, but we all know any extras are going to have to sit on your desk next to all your empty cups. It's determined by your class, each one having its own size of hit die plus your constitution modifier. Because D&D is a communist game and believes in universal healthcare, at first level you always receive the highest possible roll for hit points. But for every consecutive level, you can either roll for it or take the coward's way out and take the average increase instead. And then your current hit points are pretty obvious. It's the amount of blood you still have inside your body.
I would never, ever take the average. Every time I've ever rolled my stats, I've always done the roll for the chance of getting higher. Because I like to live dangerously, which explains how Issa, as an Arcanist, ended up with more health than our tank.
Body at the moment. Reach 0 and your character skips 50 seconds ahead of this video. Lastly, there are temporary hit points, which go above the maximum hit points and you only ever get on special occasions via spells, special abilities, or the local grandma lizardfolk just made you a delicious bowl of her legally ambiguous performance-enhancing herbal soup. Keep in mind a couple of things. Temporary hit points are kind of like the skin-tight leather jackets from the 90s X-Men movies, in that they don't stack on top of each other and you have to pick which one you want to keep if given multiple of them. And if you're on the floor dying from a stab wound, putting it on won't magically stitch it together. And what are these 2 lonely boxicles? Well, my stupid student, they're They're yin and yang, two sides of a coin, one for when you're alive and the other for when you're unalive. The former being your hit dice. You have as many of these as your player level and can spend them whenever you take a sit for as long as a single episode of a Netflix original show to recover your hit points. What size of hit dice is once again determined by your class, and you get them back whenever you binge an entire season's worth of a Netflix original show.
I'm pretty sure a lot of this is very
but what do you do
subjective,
when
though,
you're
based on
bleeding
what
out while
your DM
dressed in a
wants,
90s
though, right?
teenager's idea of a sexy badass superhero? If your current hit points ever reach 0, you have to look over
I
on
find it
this
so funny when people get worked up that they're not getting what they want from a D&D session. Like, well, my other DM did the game this way. Yes, well, I told you what this game was going to be like, and I told you the rules beforehand, so the fact you're worked up means you didn't listen.
You gamble with Grim each turn and roll your most well-behaved d20 to see whether you luck back to life or have a very awkward reunion with those bandits you killed 5 minutes ago. Roll a 10 or higher and you gain a success, 9 or lower and you get a failure. 2 failures if you drop a fat stinky nat 1, 3 successes or a lucky 20 and you hop back to 1 hit point. 3 failures and your character sheet becomes the DM's ass-wiping supplies.
Attacks.
This section is where you throw in all your various flavors of stabs. If you have a weapon or attack of some kind, you write it.
I'm just thinking, actually, I don't think in any of my campaigns, one of our characters have permanently died. One of our characters kind of died, but they had like a reincarnation form of themselves. So they kind of came back to life as a different character, kind of, sort of. So technically not died, I guess.
It in here and refer to it during combat.
Actually,
Say it's a
my
sword and
D&D
shield.
sessions do get streamed. However, I do not stream them. They are on twitch.tv/boopbot, who is also my DM. So go follow them. My sessions. Oh, look, they're even hosting me. Go follow them. Yeah, go follow them. My sessions are on Wednesday.
Yes, both. You would write down the name of the weapon here, then next to it is the attack bonus, aka how accurate your
He's in the chat! Hi, Boop!
weapon is. No, not the damage. This number is determined by your strength modifier for most
Wait,
weapons.
I got it. Hi. You ready to be part of a video?
Damn it. I woke up and thought, hey, fuck it. Why not hack in on the stream and see how you're doing?
Well,
And
congratulations.
And of course, this was a shit. God fucking damn it. Let me at least get on
you
my
know what?
computer.
I need to go pee anyway. So you go do your thing. I'm going to drop an ad break. And when we come back, we can have a BoopBot collaboration. Yay! And they can...
I'm gonna fucking kill you.
But well, look, Boop, there's only half of this video
I'm
to
gonna
go.
send 1,000,000 animated tables and
And
fucking kill you.
You want to know what? The next video is just for you because it's the crap guide to the Dungeon Master.
I'm gonna rain hellfire upon you.
And with that, we're going for an ad break. See you in a little bit. Hello.
Bitch.
Whoa, that's some language, young Thembo. So as it turns out, my DM actually came into my chat whilst we were watching these videos, and they have, of their totally own volition, decided to join me on Discord so we can finish watching these videos together. Say hello, BoopBot.
I got woken up for this bullshit.
Aha! Isn't that funny? How quirky this robot is. And to think, their link to their channel will be in the description of this video, so you two can watch me and them play D&D together and have me take every opportunity to make them lose their goddamn mind. Our D&D session is on Wednesday, by the way. Smile, wink.
Unless it's a ranged weapon like a bow, in which case you use your dex mod instead. Or if it has the finesse property, which allows you to pick either. On top of that, if you're proficient with that weapon, you can add that good old bonus to it too.
But how do you know if you're proficient with a weapon?
Let's put a peen in that. Alternatively, if it's a spell attack like Eldritch, your attack bonus becomes your spellcasting ability modifier. Let's take a bard, for instance, which is the slut stat.
When I first joined your campaigns, why didn't you explain to me how a character sheet worked in song and poem and annotation like this? Damn, maybe I wouldn't have been such a problem for you if this was how you presented it to me. Just saying.
Gee, it's not as if I tried to make a fucking custom one-shot for you whenever you tried to join in to teach you the very basics of D&D. No.
I really wish you would have, though. Maybe then I would have actually been half decent at D&D and not given you a complex.
stat plus your proficiency bonus. Whenever you roll a d20 to see if your attack lands, you get to
How
add
many
this number to the
D20s did we
total.
roll last night? Like,
Alternatively, if it's a spell or special item like a
You
bunch
mean
of
nat
ball bearings,
20s?
yeah,
I
and
rolled
attempts
like
to recreate
4.
Home Alone that requires the enemy to make a saving throw, you can put the saving throw and difficulty class there instead.
But how do you know what that number is?
We're gonna put a peen in that too, shut up. Once you have that number, to the right of it is the damage roll, aka how aggressively
God damn it,
you're
made
going
me
to
giggle while
introduce
trying to
the
take a
enemy's
sip.
face to your sword. This is included in the description of whatever weapon or
I kinda
spell
wanna
you're
make
using.
animations
Whether
like
it be a
this.
light jab at their insecurities, a proverbial pounding of pornographic proportions, or 8d6 fire damage in a 20-foot radius, just fireball!
Fireball!
Most weapons also include your strength
yes.
modifier to the damage, unless once again it's a ranged
Fireball.
weapon which uses
Smiley
dexterity or a
face.
finesse weapon which uses either. The difference being that
Yeah.
you don't add your proficiency bonus to this rule
Your
unless
party
something
has a
says
lot of
otherwise, and
experience
most
with that.
spells
You
don't add
don't.
any additional modifiers unless their wall of text explicitly says so. And lastly, make sure you include what kind of damage you're dealing so your DM can know that your psychic damaging vicious mockery won't do much against a revenant because their self-esteem is already in the grave. To recap, when you attack, roll a d20, add this number, which is these, then if you hit the enemy's AC, you roll these, and add this number, which is
Is it a telling sign of how fucked our society is that kids are more likely to learn and understand this than they are basic mathematics in high school? Like if I'd been taught basic mathematics like this, I might have actually scored higher than a average grade in my high school.
this.
Just saying.
Spellcasting.
We're going to take a little break from the main sheet to look at this sheet that has a list of all your accomplishments. Oh, look at that, it's blank. This is the spell sheet. If you're playing a character that's capable of casting
It's
spells,
as white
then
as
you're
my
going to take a
skin.
gander over to this sheet whenever you cast them. Up here at the top,
Can't
you can put your
confirm, it's pretty
spellcasting
damn
class
white.
in case you're absurd and tend to forget
Pasty.
which spells go where, your casting ability, which will depend on the class, your spell save difficulty
at some
class,
point I
and
should
your
probably
spell
actually
attack
get one of
bonus.
these
So hey,
sheets,
remember
even
that
if I am
keen
doing
we
all
put
of
in
my
for
stuff
spells and
online?
your attacks? Well, it's time to
Let's have a
unpucker
little
that
character
sucker
sheet,
because
real
here
life.
it is. The spell save difficulty class, also known as DC. This is referred to whenever you cast a spell that requires the enemy to make a saving throw. And how this is calculated is 8 plus your
Oh, boop. Not to sound like I've not appreciated what you've done for me.
Ay, Dios mío.
It was only because
what?
of this video that I understood that AC stood for armor class. And it was only because of this video that I now understand why you keep asking people, does it hit you? Because I've always sat there and wondered, does it hit me? Surely as the DM, you're supposed to know that. But the important thing is, now I know. Am I going to apologize? Also, no.
Hey, this is a video, right?
Uh-huh.
One moment. I just need to quickly pull up my soundboard. Okay, here it is.
Ow! Fuck!
your cast mod plus your pof bone. Once you've got all that
Inviting
figured
you
out,
was
the
a
rest of the
mistake, I'm
sheet is for
sorry.
keeping track of all your spells and slots. You
I
write
should've
down the
just
spells
stayed
Inviting
you
me
spell
was
how
a
many slots you have
mistake.
total, as well as expended, and if you have the spell prepared or not. Note, only certain casting capable classes apply. Please refer to the player handbook or any other supplementary book regarding your class to find information on what methods you have to go about obtaining and preparing spells. What?
I do
Unsure of
now,
what spell slots are
Buzzling.
because your brain's too smooth? Well, sit the shit back, dit, you get, and listen up. The weakest level of spells are called
Extendo
cantrips,
neck.
or sometimes
I
level
love
0 if you don't
JOCAT
care about hurting
animation.
their feelings, and they can be cast as many times a day as you want. First level spells and upwards, however, require
I love
a
those! I love it. It's weird watching this regular animation then seeing the other stuff JOCAT makes, because goddamn, this guy's like you, Boop. What's his sexuality? Yes. You can never tell. This dude draws more friggin' chiseled dudes than you can swing a bat at. But the dude also draws big tits, and it's like, ah yes, he's like me, greedy.
times a
You mean
day as you want.
bisexual?
First level spells and upwards, however, require a resource called spell slots to be cast, or else you'll have to find out the hard way that casting Thunderwave without having your beauty sleep will make the life or death battle with the Underlord of Darkness a lot
At
less
least do this
epic
seem
and
a
a
little
lot
bit
more smelling
reminiscent
like
of what
last
I've been
night's
drawing for
kebabs.
us.
And if the name spell slot makes things too confusing for you, you can use my personal preferred name for them, Mage Bullets. How many Mage Bullets you have per spell level and how you recover them is determined by your specific class and level. So just like 99% of this entirely redundant video, if you want more information, it's best to read the Parking Himbo. And keep track of your goddamn slots. Because if you don't and just so happen to be able to cast 5 Mage Hands a day under Section 3, Chapter 1, Paragraph 12 of the Code of Gelatinous Noobs, the DM has full rights to eat your dice.
Character.
Can I get my dice back, by the way? I know I
Fuck no.
I know I oopsied on Issa that one
No.
time and threw
No.
one too many goblin greases.
Absolutely the fuck not.
Oh, fuck. Those are my favorite dice, Boop.
No.
Characteristics.
They're mine.
After looking in the mirror and taking some serious self-reflection after
Wizards
the
of the
apocalyptic
Coast.
chasm of the divide of the fanbase that was 4th edition of D&D, Wizards of the Coast started to take into consideration for the next version of D&D what gameplay features they wanted to invite to future parties and what gameplay features they needed to take out back and tell to think about the pretty space butterflies. One such old yeller victim was the Virgin alignment chart being completely overshadowed by the Chad personal characteristics, each one being a useful tool to remind you of your character's interests, motivations, shortcomings, and sexual fantasies. You never know if you're going to end up having to fuck your way out of a problem, so it helps to be prepared and know exactly what
to do that yet.
the most
I mean, we've ended up in a couple of
the
broad
broad strokes of your character, likes, dislikes, interests, manners, whether or not they think something's a soup or a salad, ideals are their drive, their principles, and what they vote for during election time. Or if they don't care about voting at all and prefer to stay home to catch a once-in-a-lifetime live marathon rerun of Animal Planet's The Most Extreme. Bonds are personal attachments and experiences they've had. It could be a good friend, a fond memory, or your favorite glow-in-the-dark bouncy ball that always seemed to bounce a little bit weirder than all the other ones. And lastly, flaws, which 99% of the players don't actually understand and will probably put something inconsequential, like clumsy. Not me, though, because I'm flawless and perfect. Oh, you don't think so? Well, could a person with weaknesses do this?
All of this
I'm
other
convinced.
shit.
Now remember that key we put in wondering how you know
Okay,
what
add another one
weapons
to
you're
the tally.
proficient
That's
with?
like
That goes
the
down
9th
here, by the way, and
butt
that,
joke
along
so
with
far.
basically every other section we've yet to cover, can be figured out in this next part, which is what I like to call the copying it over from the book section of the character creation, because that's basically all you do for the rest of the sheet. I gotta pick a background, check the player handbook. What proficiencies do I get? Check the player handbook. What about feats and traits? Check the player handbook.
Oh, we're
What's my
breaking into
starting
song again.
equipment? Check the player handbook, or any other supplementary book relevant to your chosen race, class,
How many
background,
handbooks do you have,
Zenithor's Guide, Eberron Rising, etc. And with all that done, congratulations, you now have a
Shit,
completed
we don't
and
want to
fully
get
functioning
started on
character sheet ready to
that.
The amount of times we've been in
Player's Handbook, Dungeon Master's Guide, Zenithor's Guide, Tasha's Cauldron's Everything, Feswin's Treasure, Your Dragons. Did I say Zenithor's?
Nerd.
to be used once, then completely
Zenithars.
lost, then found
Must
again
feel
once you've
nice to be
already redone the
literate.
second one. Or if you're
Monster
lucky, one that
Manual.
will be used consistently over the course of several years to the
Stibble's
point where
Codex
there's
of
more eraser skid
Companions.
marks than pencil lead, and the once firm sheet of
Oh
paper
my
turning
God.
as soft as a tissue person's dick after seeing you in the shower. Now you know how to use a character sheet. You're welcome.
One thing that...
Forgot to write your backstory.
Fuck! One thing he didn't mention, having a physical character sheet is also a great way for you to then have a midlife crisis 10 years later when you pull out the book that you lost 10 years prior, and then you get to see your old character sheet from a character you had 10 years before, and like, man, I was fucking stupid back in those days. All right, Boop, it's your turn.
Yeah.
This one's all for
You
you,
are.
baby. A crap guide to the Dungeon Master.
So you've got a character sheet all written out and a couple of friends who want to play D&D, but you're missing one vital component. The world, the characters, the laws of physics everyone's gonna break to make for cool moments you'll commission artists on the internet to draw for you. But such a role requires
Boop.
leader.
Yes.
How much have you spent on commissioning artwork for your Dungeons & Dragons campaigns? Is this
That
like
involves
asking a
some
girl her
math.
age? Just don't ask.
No, I don't really care. I don't really care. I can do that. I just need a little bit to check some things.
No,
and do
but
some
this is
math.
the part where you're supposed to say you don't ask a DM that. Don't you know how humor works? I mean, can you tell?
No,
If you
I'm
do,
a
can you tell
robot.
me? Because I don't know either.
I'm a robot. How the fuck am I supposed to know how human works?
Okay, moving on.
Leadership, initiative, a total willingness to have a bunch of children
I'm
stomp
not
on
a
all your
funny
ideas in favor of
person.
doing funny memes and
Fucking
stupid
bitch.
scenarios. Despite all that, such a title has an extremely low barrier to entry and is probably the most important thing at your entire role-playing table, and without one, the game will not exist. So anybody and everybody should perform the duty at least once for the sake of their fellow players,
Okay,
begging for a
actually,
chance
I
to
have a story. I have a little bit of a story for this. My very first ever Dungeons and Dragons experience was at a friend's party. We were all sat around playing board games, and somebody pulled out a Pathfinder book and was like, "Hey, let's play Pathfinder." And I was like, "What's that?" And they had to explain to me what D&D was, and they were like, "Hey, Makari, do you want to be DM?" And I did not tell. I forgot to tell them I've never played. At that point, I'd never played D&D before. They got me DMing my very first ever quote unquote campaign. I killed them all. I might have got them all killed. And one of them got mildly upset because they spent an hour creating their character.
experience this wonderful pastime, so long as I don't have
So
to be
no
the one
self,
to do
never
it.
have me be your DM.
What?
Fuck!
Fine. Welcome to a crap guide to Dungeons and Dragons.
Woo! Ah, it's so cool. Got the entire table of all the characters as well.
The dungeon master,
Dude, the amount
or
of
game
effort that
master,
Joe
if you
puts
like
into these
playing
is
your
just
suit, is the mind
crazy.
behind the magic and who decides just about everything that happens in the game besides the player's own choices. Your role as a DM is to control and describe literally every single little detail that happens during the game, as you are the game. The game cannot exist without a dungeon master.
Again, I don't want to do shameless promotion. I've seen the way some people do D&D. I've been part of like some non-BoopBot ran campaigns. Boop has a certain way with establishing the world. How long actually do you usually take when because you have a process, right? You I remember the one for the first campaign we did. You asked me to join, and then you spent how long coming up with the idea and setting everything up?
I don't know. I kind of just snake it up as I go, or at least that's how it feels.
Yeah, you normally have like a good month or two between getting the idea of starting the campaign and then actually starting, because you're like getting all the ideas and assets and shit together, right?
Normally, yeah. The thing that takes the longest is commissioning art for people. But then there is
most people have to pay their DM to DM for them. Boop's out here paying the people who are joining. Have you ever thought that this might be why you're not making money from your streams?
Hey. I have done the math here, and I've spent a minimum. This is just on the portraits for everybody. A minimum of $1,050.
Oh my god!
Over the course of my entire DMing career.
Jeez, Boop. And you know what? Just for the sake of showing this.
Oh shit.
I'm going to show you what these are. Boop, for every campaign, Boop had... I mean, to be fair, think about it, right? Boop has literally funded an artist and funded them to go to college at this point. These are the... like, Boop gives these kind of, portraits for each person's character.
Oh, I can show you my Google Drive full of these. I just counted them all.
Oh, it's sweet, though. Maybe not for the video. I mean, the point is Boop's an awesome DM, and we love Boop here. We love Boop. But yes, maybe once the video's over. Let's continue watching though.
As the DM, you call the shots based on how the rules
Boop is
work.
very
or if
based.
you don't like the rules and say
10 out
shoot
of 10.
that poot and come up with your own. Otherwise, how else are you supposed to know if your rules lawyering player is giving you correct information and isn't just making an elaborate manipulative plot to trick you into giving them a pet displacer beast?
Oh, this was always one of my concerns as well. The amount of people who I used to play like other board games with who would make up the rules on the fly.
Memorizing it, unlike the
A
American
bad DM is worse than a freaking hernia.
You are the bridge between the players and the fantasy world they're playing in.
I make up rules on the fly all the time, though.
Excruciating
Yeah, but at least they're fun and
keep
good
it consistent.
Pauses. Everything they fuck, marry, or kill is through the context of how you describe it, which means you have to be incredibly deliberate with your vocabulary and respect the Oxford comma, or else you might make the wrong translation of what's
Which is
going on.
probably
in your
why
brain
I
to the
will
players
never
who
be
made
good
them
at
think the
DMing.
innocent bystander NPC is actually a murderer because you accidentally stuttered when voicing them, saying they were just doing their tasks. There are quite a few ways information can be put across to the players, and it all comes down to the DM's preferred style of presentation. Many pop culture depictions of the nerd ritual often show an ornately carved and treated mahogany table, players dressed in professional cosplay on par with 2000s Hollywood costumes, atmospheric mood lighting that'll make a hardcore dom blush, background music and ambience that's like a spa day for your ear canals, and
just like that
miniatures, maps, and set pieces
nerd shop
painted by
we went
angels
to, right,
using
Boop?
brushes made from the nose hairs of the gods. Now, do you need all these fancy?
Honestly, that was a pretty cool shop.
It was, actually.
In order to have
I got to meet Boop in real life when I went to Florida.
Of course,
we went to a nerd shop and got to see people playing D&D in real life.
Even with all the fanciest of theatrics,
the ratio of freckles to skin was quite disproportionate.
Where everyone has to use their imagination to visualize what's happening in your grand spanking fantasy world. So a game of D&D doesn't have to cost hundreds of dollars and can be anything from a massive...
Sorry, another story. I remember when I was... it's a little bit of a aside from like D&D. I used to go to a Warhammer club, and it always amused me when you had a normie who would come into the shop and have no freaking clue what you were doing. Like, this, I can only imagine this has happened with D&D. Like, to any normie, to those who aren't knowers, they like sit there like, so what are you doing? What are these models? Why you got dice? So you're playing a cow? You're green skin? You're a fish person? So what is this? What's the point? What are you like it?
Why do kids play pretend?
Exactly.
It's fun.
Exactly. And then you just see it twigging in their mind. Either they get it or they don't, and they're like, nah, this is not my thing. I'm out, bro. I'm out. This is cringe.
theatrical event to a hangout
Or they're
with
like,
the bros
wow,
with
can I
cardboard
be
cutout
part of
minis,
it?
to even sitting in a restaurant with napkins for character sheets and the
Same
salt
reason
pepper
why
figures are the evil queen
people
of spice
play
and her
things
angry
like
white
VR chat.
steed. No matter what, you'll always eventually
I
have to
too
rely
want
on
to,
the
or
most useful
VTube
creation of
models.
all
I
mankind
too
that
want to
can raise
roleplay
armies
as a
and fell
sexy anime
nations.
waifu.
Words. Never underestimate the power of a good thesaurus, because inevitably there will be a situation where all your fancy
yes,
props
a
won't
fine
suffice, and
lexicon,
you
if you
will have to
will.
learn how to use Old English vernacular. As the DM, most of your responsibility all boils down to allowing the players to interact with your grand spankin' fantasy world. And how they do that can be summarized in one simple action: rolling dice. When a player wants to do something, anything, the DM is the one who decides if the player rolls dice, what dice they roll, and the outcome of the roll of the dice. Then just about everything else is an extension of that one single responsibility, which is why nobody wants to do it, because one single responsibility is
And
far
all
too
it
many.
takes
An
is
extension
one
of that, the
pack
DM's
of
the
dice to start
encyclopedia
the
of the D&D
hoarding.
game. If there's
I
history
now
in
have
the
2
world, it's
sets
the
of
DM's
dice,
job to
Boop.
know it. When
And
the
it all
players are
started
fighting
because the
bad
ones
guys,
you
it's the DM's job to
encouraged
keep
me to
track of
buy.
the enemy's abilities, hit points, and sexual orientation, just
Pog.
in case you never know. If a player resurrects their long-dead
Just in
uncle,
case
it's
you
the
never
DM's job to have read their backstory to know said uncle was a drunk rocketeer who eats horseshoe crabs. And when the players bring up how the plot and characters are oddly similar to Lord of the Rings, it's the DM's job to kick their ass. The
That's
scariest
called
part about being a dungeon master,
inspiration.
however, is the improv.
I've never
Since you can't
watched
anticipate
Lord of
every
the
single
Rings.
possible possibility the players can possibly
you're not
make
missing
possible,
much.
you have to think on the fly and figure out
I
how
mentioned
those
this earlier.
Or
I
Reddit.
was talking about Knife Point and how it was supposed to be like, what, a 10-session campaign, but we turned it to like 50 or 60 sessions.
No, it was like 30.
Still, it went on way longer. The improv and the like, you were there, cause like, come on guys, we're supposed to go do the thing now. But if you want to go that way, why not? Go on, go find Davith and go fight slime monsters and summon cum girls and fist severed heads or whatever.
That was mostly you.
What's your point?
possible things
That's
could be possible.
your
If a player character tries
shenanigans.
to eavesdrop on
Now
somebody,
imagine
you
that
have to come up with what they
multiplied
hear. If
5
somebody eats
times.
too many beans and farts,
Yeah.
you got to come up with how it smells. And if the party decides to run off some other direction rather than the main plot, you have to come up with what they run
Yes,
into.
this is
like
what I
another
mean.
town or a dangerous hag or even the main plot, because you moved it over there since the giant glowing breadcrumbs in the shape of story progress this way wasn't obvious enough. If you think you can prepare pre-written answers for every possible question the players could come up with, I'm gonna have to stop you right there because you know the fuck you can't. Somebody at some point in time will do something that'll turn your no pants bad dreams into a reality, and you gotta figure out then and there whether you're gonna get a new pair or just roll with it while the players see your
Roll with
metaphorical
it,
junk
baby.
swaying in the breeze. So with all that easy to digest and
I think
totally
that's kind of the thing that
non-intimidating
like
stack
drew
of
me into it the most. I love improv. I love role playing. I love the idea of helping tell the story as we go. Like the whole thing with our session last night of my character finding the forbidden section of the library, as it were, was entirely like Boop was like, "Hey, there's a door here. It's locked. It's got magic on it, but there's a door." Boop fully knew that the kind of person I am. They didn't say that I should open the door, but they were like, "Yeah, that's a really nice door, Makari. That's a really nice door. You should. I mean, you don't have to, but do you want to open it?"
You rolled really high on your perception check to notice the hidden door, though.
Mm-hmm. And it's always that thing of
Like,
what
on your
could have been, you know?
investigation. Yeah. What could have been is maybe people don't get downed immediately. And maybe when they were fighting the evil librarian, they would have had another body to tank some of the damage. Maybe Vincent wouldn't have almost died. Maybe Ella wouldn't have almost died.
Coulda, shoulda, woulda,
Maybe Mai wouldn't have almost died. You know, different things like that.
Makari
Maybe there
causing
wouldn't be this fucking gremlin off in the other side of the wing library, just you know, just vibing.
Yeah, well, I mean, at
Just-
least I got my books on
just
marine
reading.
animals, okay? That's the important part. You may die, but that was a sacrifice I was willing to make.
Expectations that doesn't even scratch the surface of what it takes to be a dungeon master out of the way. The question now becomes, how does one even start being a dungeon master? Just do it! No matter what, you'll want a copy of the player handbook, since it has a majority of the most common
know what,
rules.
Boop,
As far
I
as
should
actual
DM for
content
you one
goes,
day.
though, the most baby-friendly way is to purchase a
Do
pre-written
it,
handbook
Like a
from one of
one-shot.
these buggers, which will usually have a plot, characters, encounters, villains, and plenty of faffing about material for your
Yeah,
players. However, if that's
faffing,
too
my
much
favorite
punishment on your
thing.
wallet, the natural safe word is making a campaign of
Are
your
you sure
own.
you're
The
not
thing about
spelling that
safe
well?
words, though, is it often stops things in their tracks, so it will require you to come up with most of the aforementioned plot, characters, encounters, villains, and faffing material yourself, which can
Oh
take
my God,
anywhere
we've
from
been
the night of
recording for
binge
2
writing
hours.
to
How's
never,
that
because you
happened?
only ever think about your ideas and
There's
or write it down. Either
there's
way you
quite
go
a
with,
bit
once
to
you have the
these.
skeleton of your campaign ready, you got to start filling it with internal organs. And as anyone who's taken biology can tell you, organs are gross and messy and can often go misplaced, so you just have to
you keep pause
substitute a kidney
champing?
with a moldy
No, I
sponge for a
don't.
bit while you go find it. That is until suddenly the
You do.
blood cells start
Shut
making
up.
friends with
Shut
the
up.
sponge,
Shut
and it
up.
becomes more effective than an actual kidney, and you start to question
You
everything
literally
you've ever
brought
learned
me
in
here to
school. So
talk
good fucking
shit.
luck figuring out how to balance spending
Well, I
time
thought it was
preparing to run a
poetic,
campaign
okay?
and spending time actually running a campaign. Do you spend entire weeks drawing maps, writing possible paths and dialogue options for characters down to
Okay, so this is Boop.
the description of their cousin's
No.
boyfriend's dog's favorite chew toy? Or do you just spend the week doing some faffing about of your own and then
Okay, no, that's Boop. Never mind. I stand corrected.
That's me. That's me. I was to say, what the fuck do you think I'm doing?
the
No.
final half hour leading up to the session time frantically writing down bits from a D&D random content generator. But hey, once you get a game going, the rest should come naturally. Just take it all one step at a time, and you can especially relax whenever the players start to roleplay and act on their own. Because then you can just sit back and relax and let them have their fun. and you
That
don't
was
even have to do
basically the
dialogue from
entirety of Knife
NPCs
Point,
or
and pretty
lore
much
dump
most
on
of this
them, or
current
God,
campaign
fuck,
as
the
well.
rogue tried to steal the paladin's rosary beads. Yes, the dirty whale's underbelly of being a
That's what I was
dungeon
mentioning
master is dealing
earlier,
with the
though. If
barnacle
you get a
infestation
team
that
that
is
are
being the de facto
cohesive
babysitter
and know
of
how
the
to
group,
play
and
off
then you
each
gotta
other,
bring up
it's
the
just
scraper of social
so
obligation. In
delicious.
some
Way
situations
more than when you have a
than others, the
campaign
DM
with
is
people who
expected to have a
don't
significant amount of
mesh
say in
together,
organizing the playgroups
or
and
ones
doing
that
something
have
of the
main
larger
character
than
though.
usual
syndrome.
for the game to exist in the players.
bad.
You're who the players will look to when arguing over who gets the loot. You will be expected to have a bigger say on when the next session time will be, and you are the one who's expected to kick out the guy who's overriding your descriptions of a pleasant-smelling flower garden with the rankness of his workout stank. This means
Or the ones who decide to have main character syndrome. Or the ones that are ruining the vibe for everyone else.
that you cannot take a passive role as a DM. You have control over the fan, and if you see shit flying towards it, you're going to be expected to turn that fan
Hey,
off before
Vilcana.
the place really starts to smell like a medieval castle street. With all of that said, I still could not possibly cover the grand mountain climb that is explaining what it takes to be a dungeon master. Not to mention what
He's
it takes
doing
to
a
be
good
a
job
good dungeon
keeping it
master. And I
concise,
seduce
though.
enough tall folk to make
I mean,
content
if
Junior
I'm
horny
able to
for me.
understand
But I
this,
believe the best
he must
possible
be
way
doing
to
a
show
good
you what
job.
it takes to be a dungeon master would be a demonstration of those undergarment moistifying skills I possess. Lucky for your thirsty butts, I've set up a D&D session with a bunch of nerds, and demonstrate I shall. Alright, unexpectables, you walk into a tavern, a crowd has gathered, and everyone seems to be having a good time.
Aha,
All except the
one shot.
mysterious hooded figure in the center of the room that nobody except you all seem to notice. What do?
I want to smash the barkeeper.
I want to smash the barkeeper.
I want to... Oh, he said it already.
Nobody wants to have a chat with the hooded figure? Who knows, it may tie into one of your backstories.
Oh yeah, that reminds me. DM, could you look over these notes I have about my backstory? It's only a few pages long, but I wanted to make sure to keep the authenticity of my homeland as the center point of my character development.
What the hell? This is a fucking novel. I'm not reading all of this.
Oh yeah, speaking of, I wanted to check in with you about this new homebrew I created for one of my backstory's characters. I ran it by a couple of friends and they seemed to think it's pretty
I can see the dread building up in him. You truly have to be so stoic to be a DM,
talent,
good lord.
So no need to worry about looking over it too much.
Oh, no. I know what you're trying to do, you scruffy looking...
Hey, DM, are there any Goliaths in the tavern? No particular reason, I just wanted to know.
Dude, yeah, are there any? I've been looking for a surfing buddy for some time. We're at the beach, right? I wasn't really paying attention. Could you set the scene again?
Bah, whatever. I'll get back to you guys later. Dawn, right. Have you made up your minds about that ambush yet? That guy you've been targeting for the past 3 sessions is right there, enjoying his dwarvish drink.
Oh boy, I surely am enjoying my dwarvish drink.
Why has he got a computer for a head? Oh my god, it's Skibbity Toilet!
Look, whenever we take a single decision like going to the left or to the right, it goes wrong. We need to have 100% flawless plan.
Oh, maybe we can go talk with him? But if things go wrong, I can use my gun.
When the fuck
Oh
did the
yeah!
blind dragonborn
Man,
get a...
I'm great at helping people.
She lied as easily as she breathed.
God damn it. Ah, man, I shouldn't have been drinking
she
Void.
returns to grace us with her presence.
Look, I've already come to acknowledge this is going to be a nightmare to edit. I'm just running with it at this point.
Yes.
What was I saying?
Not as much as you'd expect, Void Ninja. Usually we can mute her before that happens.
Hey! Actually, what was I saying? I've lost my train of thought. ADHD.
Did you ever have it?
Well, I mean, no, but you're not supposed to, like, corroborate it.
But
Oh yeah, I remember what I was gonna say. Aha! I can persuade this person to give themselves up with my persuasive abilities and this gun that I found.
Gun? I don't remember giving him a gun.
I am disappointed you didn't
This one
reference
guy,
your
Why
tits.
don't I just sneak up on him and poison his drink? I have a +10 to stealth, plus advantage with my cloak of invisibility, and add on another 10 if Franz uses his pass without a trace. No one will ever see me.
Oh, you remember pass without a trace, huh?
Or I can use this gun.
How many times must you terrify my sweet bottoms? You upright marsupial!
I'll give you 6 minutes and 44 seconds. If you don't come to an agreement on a plan, I'm feeding your minis to the Wigglers. Group Stupid, you follow into the tavern as well, and you see the mysteriously hooded figure, now eyeballing you down and casting a menacing visage. They gesture towards 5 open seats and say that you should go—
So who's the most expensive looking dude here?
I don't fucking know. There's a noble in the corner of the room, sure, but he's busy talking to somebody else right now, so maybe you should probably—
I'm already there. I intimidate him.
Ah, yes. The Dungeon Master. Trying to maintain 4 or 5 plus ADHD-ridden gremlins. Hey guys, main story, main focus, please go do that. Ah, there's a rich guy in the corner. Yes.
To challenge me to an arm wrestling match for all his golden belongings.
Hey, absurd. You could use Charm Person.
Isn't this how
that would
Davith
cause
came
you
around?
Charm status, which would give you advantage on any social.
I asked him to give us all of his money.
Absurd.
I rolled an 11.
Well, that's really more of a help action, which actually—
What the fuck? I didn't even ask you to roll yet.
But I did it already. Look, an 11 is good. We are friends now.
We are
Everyone
friends.
likes absurd.
I intimidate him to challenge me to an arm wrestling match for all his golden belongings.
Fucking fine. You start to arm wrestle him for some of his gold.
Oh, I already stole it all. Also, he might be cursed, because, you know, backstory stuff.
All right, sure. In the meantime, the hooded figure in the middle of the room that everyone decided to totally ignore transforms into a massive towering titan, and the roof of the tavern is blown off, revealing Evilus Maximus.
Ah, yes, Cthulhu.
Lord of Darkness.
Vilius Maximus. Now, my Latin's a little bit rusty, but that name seems a little bit on the nose. It sounds to me like
Wait a
he's
minute, are
actually
those the
ripping
guys that do, the horror storytelling?
Yeah, they do some of that.
I swear I've seen their content.
They
before.
also do a bunch of
Book's
history
titled
stuff.
Pontifex Maximus,
Oh.
so maybe we should be on our guard for some vile bishops and dastardly cardinals.
No, he's not. Shut up. He looks down upon you all, and with a snap of his fingers, everyone's magical items disappear.
What? This is outrageous.
Well, you
This is
should have paid
unfair.
attention to the main thing.
I demand to roll an opposing skill check.
Ooh, this is the classic weaken your opponent before the showdown strategy used by the really egomaniacal bad guys. He wants to demonstrate that we're over-reliant on our magic items as a sort of condescending attack on our self-worth. Watch, next he's gonna say,
Joe's
"Your
about
puny
to have a
trinkets won't
conniption.
save you now."
This is such a different animation to everything else. Like, holy crap. Everything else was a guide. This is more of a demonstration, and I love it.
Trinkets won't save you now.
He says, holding all your loot in a glowing orb in his grip.
Ooh, textbook orb strategy.
Stop making comparable analysis. Evilus then casts Hold Person on all patrons of the tavern. Everyone needs to roll a
Counterspell, counterspell, counterspell. Hey, did you see this new ad
Hey, James.
for an over-the-table
Thank you for the follow.
dictionary? What's
Yanni,
it called?
same to you, buddy.
Counterspell.
Fucking how many counterspells do you even have?
All of them.
No way, you really don't have that many.
Of course I do.
Bullshit. Let me see your character sheet.
No.
Let me see it.
No.
Let me see it, Daddy.
No.
Give it to me, Daddy.
This is like literally watching me and Lynn in our current campaign together. Oh my gosh, I'm seeing so many parallels, it's wild.
As a Beastmaster Warlock,
Nice
fighter,
to know that it's not
sorcerer,
just
multiclass,
me and
I like to
Boop's
use my
campaign
Beast
that ends
Movement
up like
to carry
this.
the enemy, then have them attack the enemy, then use my Familiar's action to use the Help action, then cast Haste on myself, cast Eldritch Blast as a quicken spell, use Action Surge to put a light on my beast's nose, and attack with my hasted action.
Oh, sweet. My Shield Guardian spell procs, because he targeted me with a spell. So that's going to be a Faithful Hound right on Evilus's heels. Now that it's my turn, my sweet, sweet pup is definitely going to have a munch. And then I'll have the Guardian run
Are you
up and
feeling a little
slap
bit of
him,
dread
and then I'll
there,
use my
Boop?
9th level spell slot to
Are
conjure...
you feeling like you are being called out in
hold
this?
on. 32 enormous
No, because I
constrictor
wouldn't run
snakes.
for
You're
12
keeping track of all these
people.
initiatives, right?
Don't
Don't forget that I also have 2 horses, a mastiff, and 6 chickens.
Oh, actually, I still have my
Druids.
movement. Can I dodge as a free action?
The dog's name is Cheese Puff, by the way.
Joel, can I play this?
Well, you two sort that out. I'm
Joe's
going to
about
try
to
to
have a
scam as
breakdown.
many people as possible out of their coin.
Whoa, hold up there, you oversized crow. You said you were lawful good.
Oh, no. I said I was a half-elven town guard turned hospice nurse and non-lethal hedge knight. But, you know, I can understand
Makes
the confusion.
sense.
Besides, I don't believe in alignment anyway. I'm trying to get my scam on. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, may you lend me your ears. I have here in my hand one of the finest.
So what about
in all
the Eldritch Abomination?
So as I stand up in a chair, everyone looks at me. I smile charmingly and everyone starts cheering already. As I pull out a 12-chorded ukulele...
Excuse you, who's the DM here?
Oh, you, of course. But in this scenario, I will have to roll persuasion or performance, and if I pass a DC check 15, I will charm everyone around me to follow me
taking over the
every
whole
command.
thing.
Doing this will allow my character to start its own company, creating profits.
Joe,
from the
assert
selling of
yourself!
Very specific.
No.
Don't worry, everyone. Just think of all the friends we've helped through our journey
God.
and the ties between our hearts that will help us defeat Evilus Maximus in the
Wait, Milkshot's Moo is in this? This is literally Milkshot Moo's character.
name of Saloon. I will punish you. Believe it.
Believe it.
Can I stab her and take all her stuff later?
Hey, DM, not that it actually happened, but hypothetically, if I lost a dice set you let me borrow, would you happen to have another one?
Anytime somebody says hypothetically to anything, you know they've done it. Hypothetically, if I were to have, you know, oopsied and cast Fireball instead of Firebolt and killed our entire team, who would be mad?
Oh, I have the perfect theme music for this exact situation. Just hold on 1 second, I'll find it.
Music! Good idea. My furball pulls out their ukulele and begins to sing to the villain. Hey, you with the villainous smile, why don't you come and stay and get to know me a while? We're two of a kind, two sides of the coin.
You know what? I see what they're doing. I see what they're doing. They're trying to cringe the Abomination into leaving. If he's so sick of their shit, he's not gonna want to fight. He's like, you know what? I'm too ancient and powerful for this. I'm out.
I mean, truly, the big issue is that there's like a billion people.
I said that's enough.
I feel as though we haven't really sussed out the emotional.
Yeah, I can imagine the more people you
who is
have, the harder it
evilest
gets to
us,
manage.
you know?
He's the demon lord
Yes.
of darkness. He murders people and is awful and terrible and bad.
Or is he perhaps a metaphor? A construct representing the lasting woe that persisted after the age of reason.
How big is the party? I think it's like 12
We're all
people.
evilous. He's a reflection of our own inner...
Nope, shut up.
No, it's
You know,
way
we
more than
probably
12.
can't even take Evilus. According to the strategy guide, he commands 4 krakens made of, like, pure gold, which are actually lawful neutral, by the way.
See?
So they're technically not even evil, and they just serve an evil lord, which is interesting because...
Hey, stop reading the official campaign setting.
How's he funding all this?
I think I have a
Oh no! He's gonna have a conniption!
No,
I know this is a make-believe thing, but even watching this is triggering my fight or flight senses and giving me sensory overload.
Yeah.
Oh boy!
Okay, shut up!
I should make pudding pretzels tonight.
Evilus Maximus has you all completely surrounded and begins to speak.
Foolish mortals, I've lived for 1,000 lifetimes, and once I'm done with you, I'll continue to live 1,000 more. You are merely a blink in my existence. I felled gods and consumed worlds. Worlds which yours pales in its own inadequacy. For the darkness I've tamed this.
We've got him now, guys. I cast polymorph in the middle of his speech.
Yeah, turn him into a T-Rex. No, wait,
Okay,
T-Rex
I'm
is
gonna
bad.
grab
Turn him
Greckles,
into something
I'm
small.
gonna
Go,
dimension
go,
Oh my god, I feel so sorry for him.
This evil Maximus. You can suck on this soul.
Yeah, he's gonna rage. He's gonna rage. It's like watching a raid leader in World of Warcraft dealing with 24 other idiots that don't know how to stand outside of fire.
Yep.
He's gonna pop. He's about to bleh all over them.
That is it! Shut up! Everyone shut the hell up! No, you can't talk to the barkeeper. They ignore you. I didn't read your backstory. Your homebrew is rejected. There are no Goliaths, and pay the fuck attention next time I describe the goddamn scene. No, I'm not gonna describe it again for you. You all took too long, so your ambush fails and you fall to the floor of the tavern. Also, your target runs away. I never asked for a single one of you to roll, so all your dice go to waste. You don't get that gold, your intimidation fails, and you stop being a dongly-bongly rules lawyer for once. You two, stop comparing my totally original campaign to popular and historical media. I will sick the light gray walkers on you. You don't counterspell, your sheet is revoked, and no, you can't do any of whatever all that shit you were trying to do, you moldy min-max and munchkins.
Oh my god,
Nobody
I love
listens
this.
to you, and the guards show up to arrest you for disturbing the peace.
Hey, it's all right, JOCAT. There's no need to get so hostile. If you just take...
Hold on a sec, I'm getting my front door went. Give me a sec.
Doggo. moments like these, I don't know what to say. Matt Mercer's pretty cool though. I don't know too much about them. I don't follow Critical Role, even though I probably should. More of a Dimension 20 guy personally, but he's a pretty cool guy. Does a lot of stuff.
All right, where do we get to? I need to back this up a little
Matt
bit.
Mercer cameo.
Wait, Matt Mercer?
Yeah.
That's actually Matt Mercer?
The guards show up to arrest you for
Yes.
disturbing the peace.
Hey, it's all right, JOCAT.
No
There's
way!
No need to get so
Oh my god,
hostile.
that's amazing.
Just take a moment to talk to the players. I'm sure we can all.
Nobody cares, Matt Mercer.
Aw.
No.
Dude, JOCAT is such a swag. He friggin' bitch slaps Matt Oh my god, I love it.
No, and no.
What have I gotta do
all
to
of
get
your
Matt Mercer
plans.
to friggin'
And Evilus
grovel to
Maximus
me?
doesn't get interrupted by your spell. He conjures a giant mountain on top of the world, rocks fall, everybody dies, and that's the end of the session because nobody wanted to talk to the obviously mysterious hooded figure in the middle of the fucking room.
Mysterious figure.
Aww.
Fine, whatever. Leave.
Well, you know what? Now everybody knows what it's like to play D&D.
Everyone knows what it's like to play D&D with 30 fucking people.
I don't need you. I can find some other players who would be happy to play the game I meticulously planned for them. Go
Well,
on
maybe
and
don't
cry
get
about it
30
online, you
people
dice-munching
next
goblin
time.
breath weirdos. This is what you get for ruining the scene. It's all your fault, you know. You're welcome. Satisfied? What the hell else was I supposed to do?
Oh my god,
If
a
they don't want to play the
self-insert.
game I've set up for them, then they don't deserve to play at all. Maybe, but did you ever think about the game they do want to play? You know, the players are just as much a part of how the session goes as you are. Part
I
of
love
D&D
the fact that this actually shows his like normal, non-projecting voice, and it's so soft and supple. And yet his big booming voice is like, I'm going to shit all over your biscuits.
Is about how anything
No,
can happen.
it's fully
I
a
planned
character,
out
but
this whole
he-
thing for them.
he's
I even
a
got all the books
fucking-
and everything.
he's a
It's
fucking
gonna be a
twink.
sweeping
IRL.
story, with awesome NPCs, and an epic conclusion.
Yes, I know.
But they're
I've
not
seen.
doing what I need them to do. That's true, and maybe they never will. But that might be okay.
I hope we all realize that this whole guide on how to do Dungeon Master has ended with having a self-clash of schizophrenic levels. Being a DM requires you to be schizophrenic.
Yes.
That's
Sure,
what we've
keep
learned
in
from
mind
this.
Where you want the game to go, but not everything has to be by the books. Everyone is playing their own version of D&D, and as the DM, you have to be able to adapt to that. Saying no to everything you don't want them doing isn't going to give them an amazing experience with infinite possibilities. It's just going to make them feel like the game's better off without them. But what if I do let them do whatever they want, and things go wrong, and it gets boring, or imbalanced, or I forget something important, or the game goes south somehow, and the players don't like the session anyway? Then you go again and do better next time. This situation right here could be a good start. Yeah, right, and what am I supposed to do, talk to the players? You can certainly try.
Hey, Blizzard! You could learn a thing or two from this.
Yeah.
Guys, wait. I'm sorry. I was worried that if you didn't play the way I wanted you to, that the game wouldn't be as cool or as fun.
I
as
mentioned this
thought it
earlier,
could
but
be.
this is actually
I
a
was
really
too
important
constricting on
sentiment
your
of
agency
balance.
And shouldn't have stopped you from at least
It's a mix
attempting
of
to do the
everybody's
things you
dream,
wanted.
not just the DM's.
And I should have talked with
The
you.
DM
and
needs to be
maybe come to some sort of
considerate of
compromise
what
on
the
some of
players are
things I
doing.
was really stubborn about.
But the players
Being the
also need to
Dungeon
understand the
Master
setting
is
that's been
just
set.
Really, really scary. There's so much I have to keep track of. Coming up with things
Aw,
on the
this is so
fly can be really
sentimental.
hard. And I
True,
want
though.
to run the best game I can for everyone. And I'm terrified of messing things up.
I think, on a serious note, it is very true. I think this is something I've seen from Boop's side of things, from my own D&D experiences, that as much as a DM has a vision of what they want to do, it's about how you adjust and making sure that you meet in the middle. Like, you're never gonna, like, no good campaign goes the way the DM initially stated it to be. There's always a structure, but kind of compromising and meeting the players in the middle, and likewise the players kind of going with the DM, it's kind of what the whole roleplay is about. You need to make of the structure what you will. And I think getting too, like, down one avenue or the other ends up ruining it for everyone. At least that's from my experience.
So sometimes
that's a rule more suggestion.
Vapid,
Immature.
Anatomically confusing.
aggressive. But I'm willing to try again if you are.
Yeah, the whole premise of improv
how
is that you
about
say
it?
yes and.
Would you like to
To a
play
degree.
some D&D?
Sometimes the bullshit that Makari does. Just need to know though.
What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean I'm not allowed to put a minigun on a cat?
You're not allowed to
So,
put a
Granny, you were
minigun
saying
on a
you wanted to interrupt
fucking
Evilus Maximus.
carriage.
Yeah. I wanted to cast Polymorph on him
in
the
Victorian
middle of his
times.
speech.
Yes.
All right, what's your spell save DC?
15.
Against all odds, you successfully polymorph Evilus Maximus. He transforms into a meek little sheep and falls to the tavern floor. Seeing this happen, several of the tavern patrons throw up their hoods to reveal they are part of Evilus's cult. Everyone,
Damn! This was so good.
This is fun.
Oh my god. Oh, what a series. This definitely went on. Let me just get in the middle here. This definitely went on a little bit longer than what I was anticipating, but this was so much fun. And the surprise coming from Matt Mercer of all people, holy crap. So, yeah, I guess that was a crap guide to D&D. I've actually learned some stuff. Oh, they had Takahata in there?
Yeah. Takahata is part of the Unexpectables. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought I recognized that voice. Yeah, all right, I'm going to wrap this up because we've been going for a while. Boop, do you have any final words, any advice, anything you want to shamelessly shill now that you've joined me as payment for your being here?
I stream. I also I stream D&D. And if anyone wants to pay me to run D&D for them, hi.
Thank you for watching, ladies and gentlemen. Please drop by the Twitch. Enjoy the rest of my content. Go check out JOCAT and encourage them to not give up on streaming. And I will see all of you in the next video. Bye!